All right, we should be live. Let me pull the chat up for us, though. And hopefully my chat behaves. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping my chat behaves.
I won't read anything. But if you feel you have to discuss it, we can talk about it.
Okay, here we go. We solo this way, move this way. And there we go. Audio's good. Audio's good. All right. Let's let some people join in first. 7, what's the deal, beautiful? Miss you. How you doing? Happy Monday. Top of the afternoon. That's good. That's good. That's good. Hey, what's the deal? What's the deal? What's going on, man? What's the deal? Welcome to a day in LA. Oh no, too big. No. I need to see the topics. I don't need to see them that much. Here we go. What's the deal? What's the deal, chat? I am joined by a legend today. I'm joined by a legendary music executive, music supervisor, manager, label head, record promoter, the legendary Paul Stewart. How you doing, boss?
Oh, man, thank you so much for that great introduction, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm OG in the game.
Absolutely.
I've done a gang of stuff.
We're going to talk about it all. I have such a detailed Q&A for you. We're going to get to that in a minute. I do want to start off by just letting you know how much you've influenced my work, my dedication, my tenacious dedication and devout dedication to West Coast hip-hop. You're one of my biggest inspirations.
Oh,
believe
man,
it or not.
that's well, you know, you were so kind when you first started reaching out. You know, you were giving me my flowers and you know what I mean? And so I appreciate it. And yeah, no, I mean, I had a big influence on a lot of people, and that's one of the things I'm most proud of. You know what I mean? There was a lot of people a lot of artists I helped, but there was also a lot of young executives and stuff that people that have come out of my camp and continue to come out under my camp. You know, as I'm getting older, I'm trying to, you know, mentor and, you know what I mean? Just, and learn from younger people. It's, you know, as you get, you know, more wisdom from experience, you need to be plugged in with what's happening now. So it's a great connection to, like, you know, give that wisdom to younger people and learn, you know, all the new tricks.
Absolutely. I feel that. So,
but thank you.
This is the man behind Warren G, Coolio, Pharcyde, House of Pain. So many legendary acts that stem from the West Coast. And we're going to get into all that in a minute, but because I'm fat, I like to start my episodes talking about food.
Let's go.
Every episode, the introduction is food.
I'm ready.
I want to ask you, let's put together like a top 5 food spots. Mm-hmm. Since you're an LA native.
Oh, born and raised.
Absolutely. We need Paul Stewart's top 5 food spots in Los Angeles.
And I'm opinionated about this. Okay. Juicy's. Number 1 for me is Juicy's on Washington, east of Crenshaw.
Okay.
Jamaican food, real. You go in there, there's a big ass flag of Jamaica and some chairs and all fancy photos of Ital Joe in the back, signed his picture, you know, a bunch of reggae artists and stuff. Right. Real deal Jamaican food. Been a staple for like 30 years in the community, man. Like Juicy's. Natural. Because the owner, the chef was Juicy. This Jamaican guy, you know. I mean, the accent's thick too. And you know how Jamaican restaurants are famous for giving attitude and stuff like that too? Bad customer service, yeah. I mean, I won't say they were on that, but don't go in there with an attitude or anything. The Jamaican lady gonna bite your head off, you know what I mean? I was always very polite and respectful, and we're going there for years, you know. So after a while, they got to know me. And yeah, man, Juicy's, man. You know,
4 more.
Yeah, okay, I got you. I'm ready to go. Sticky Rice, the Thai restaurant at the downtown here at the market, Grand Central Market. Oh man, great Thai food. I mean, we got Thai Town. We have more Thai people in Los Angeles anywhere in the world outside of Thailand. So we have first class Thai food. But you know, that place is top notch, you know, and yeah, it's a little stall kind of thing, you know what I mean, like that, you know, like Grand Central Market is bomb in general. It has a bunch of good Mexican restaurants and a cool little sushi spot. But yeah, sticky rice. Okay.
Sticky rice.
All right. Number 3, I'm gonna keep it in South Central. Los Anaya, Mexican restaurant in Adams, west of La Brea, in the West Adams district.
Okay.
Close to La Brea, east of La Brea, in between La Brea and Crenshaw. Yeah. Okay. So, Cat opened it, family-run business. They've been making Mexican food for years and years. And when he opened it, that neighborhood was still very funky. It's still a little, it's not, that part hasn't gentrified as much as other parts. Let's just put it like that.
Okay.
But anyway, when he first opened it, it was a bit of a challenge for him. And what he did was he had like a neighborhood menu, and then he had more upscale, like more adventuresome kind of dishes. But you can go get a burrito, some tacos, real cheap. You know what I mean? So he fed the neighborhood, and then he slowly did it to where eventually he got his liquor license, and the neighborhood menu's pretty much gone.
What's on the upscale menu?
Well, it's like he's got like a dish with like pasta and shrimp. He's got like blackened salmon. You know what I mean? Like and just all kind of Mexican dishes. Some that are a little bit more
elevated. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw in Haroon Coffee in Leimert Park. I gotta represent Leimert Park.
Right.
I mean, that's like my neighborhood. Right down the street from where I grew up, born and raised. And my man Chase Infinite just reopened. Just some of the best coffee and other eats. In the area. And so that's it, man.
That's 4, I think.
That's 4. That's 4.
We need one more.
Yeah, sure. Okay. For me, I think I'm gonna go. Well, I wrote it down, man. I just started thinking of other stuff like Natalie Thai is a great one too, man. On Robertson Olympic.
What they sell?
Thai food. It's Thai food.
Thai.
Yeah,
Thai.
but I wrote one down. Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
The Mod 7 said you be all in the trenches.
Oh, of course. Where you gonna get the good food at?
Yeah, that's where you get the good food.
I can't find my last one, so all right.
Natalie Thai.
Yeah, we'll go Natalie Thai.
All right, bet. So let's say
a lot of good restaurants that I would have liked to recommend have closed. So I didn't want to recommend anything that was closed. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want to recommend anything too bougie. Everything needs to be south of Wilshire.
No, you picked all the perfect good spots.
Right.
All right. Let's say hypothetically you're having a dinner, but you get to invite 5 legends to the dinner, dead or alive. Mm-hmm. Who is Paul having as guests?
Mm-hmm. Well, because I got to hang out with Tupac, he's not on my list. But he would have been, maybe, let's say. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But he's not. I met Biggie once, but it was like a brief in passing, and I'm a huge Biggie fan, so I'm going to go ahead and throw Biggie on the list.
Biggie's at the dinner table.
Right. When I was a really young kid, when I was like 13 or 14, my brother took me to go see Bob Marley. So I did see him in concert. I couldn't really appreciate it quite yet. I liked it, but you know what I mean? But yeah, Bob Marley.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob Marley got to be at that dinner, rolling up for us. Bob's rolling.
3 more people.
Kool Herc. I'm a student of hip hop. Like I said, I've met a lot of my heroes. I worked for Ice Cube. I worked for a lot of people, or met. I worked for John Singleton. I had intimate time with some of these people that were like my heroes or idols.
Yep.
But so that's somebody that I never met. And I would just love to hear how, I think he's still alive. Yeah,
of course.
Right. So I would love to hear how, how those parties were in the rec room and stuff. I like to hear about how hip hop started. That would fascinate me.
Sedgwick, yep. Is that 3?
Yeah. Now, I was recently blessed to be on a conference call with Top Dog, but I've never met him in person or anything like that.
Okay.
But I've never met Kendrick, so...
Top Dog and Kendrick.
Yeah.
So Top Dog, Kendrick, Biggie Smalls,
yeah,
DJ Kool Herc, and Bob Marley. Yeah, that's your dinner table. And what dish are you serving?
Ooh, curry. The Juicy's is gonna cater it, man. We're gonna have oxtail. We're gonna have curry goat, man. We're gonna have definitely gonna have that curry goat. You know, the ital. If anybody's plate, if anybody's vegan or vegetarian or whatever, Juicy's make a great ital plate.
What is ital?
They have an ital stew. It's bomb, man. It's like all kind of vegetables, and very filling. If you're not on meat.
Okay, bet. If I could have a dinner with 5 legends,
yeah.
Who would I invite? What would we eat? I talked to Mary J. Blige on Zoom once when I interviewed her about her wine collection, but I want to eat with her. Mm-hmm. So Mary J. Blige.
Love that one.
Ice Cube.
I worked for Cube. That was a great experience. So yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, Mary J. Blige, Ice Cube.
What a smart guy.
Dapper Dan.
Oof, love that one.
Yeah, gotta have Dapper Dan. Roxanne Shante.
Great one.
And closing out. Dang. Wendy Williams.
Sure.
Wendy Williams. And what would I feel like Wendy is slept on when it comes to hip hop media. I feel like she made a lot of hip hop celebrities household names by covering their dirt and gossip.
Well, she also started things that are being done now that weren't, that no one else was doing that,
This type of content, I agree. Let me see, what would we eat? I love Jamaican food as well. I've never been to Juicy's, but probably Hungry Joe's in Inglewood. If if Larry's in Inglewood.
Yeah.
Or Blessed. It's a lot of fire Jamaican food in Inglewood.
Yeah, there is. That one on La Brea, I don't know the name of it, but it's official.
La Brea what?
There's 2, right? There's the one right across from the DMV, and there's the one that's a little bit north of there.
Okay, so the one right across from DMV is Country Style Kitchen. They're good too.
Right.
They're real good too.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, yeah.
I just found out today that both Paul and I are Inglewood natives, technically.
That's what's up.
Technically.
Born and moved into Crenshaw at the age of 1.
Why did you guys leave Inglewood, if you don't mind me asking?
No, my father had a 4-unit building on Glenway, and in Inglewood, so it was like right off Sepulveda, right by the freeway there, just below, like right off La Cienega, right below Sepulveda.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
It's like the north adjacent north part of Inglewood.
Right, and exactly, and so he had this 4-unit, and we lived on the property, young family, you know what I mean? And then he bought the house in the Crenshaw district, and so he still owned. He just moved us out and continued to rent out. Yeah, because we lived in one of the units of the 4-unit property in Inglewood. So then we moved to the house in Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw.
So your father was an entrepreneur as well.
Investor, smart guy. He worked at Montell Toys for many, many years. So he was involved in like Hot Wheels and toys like that.
Okay.
He was an engineer. He was good at investing, but he was not an entrepreneur. He was a full-time employee type kind of cat.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
All right, Ben. I need to react to a couple things before we get into the Q&A. So there's a podcast called Swim Club, and they had a gentleman on. He interact. They had a gentleman on. Let's see.
Dejon Paul, as a muggle from your city, you feel me? He says that a lot of LA rappers, a lot of West Coast rappers sound the same, and they're never going to get anywhere because of sounding the same. What is your intake on that?
I think he's not listening to enough LA rappers because there's so many different rappers that got a different sound. RJ, he don't sound nothing like Draco. Draco don't sound nothing like Conrad. Conrad don't sound nothing like Bad Boy Juice. Like, it's just so many different artists. So, and none of us sound like Nip, The Game. Like, it's so many different artists, bro. So, I feel like that's perspective, man. I'm not saying that man's a hater, but I'm just saying maybe he needs to listen to more artists. Because a lot of us got a different sound. And I don't sound nothing like none of them niggas.
Dejon Paul, as a muggle from your city.
All right, bet. Well, I don't have an issue with this. Everybody's entitled to their opinion of me. But to think that I don't listen to enough LA rap music when I've been doing this since 2008 is crazy. I've probably written more articles about upcoming LA rappers than any human alive. And I mean, even on the report card, there's like over 40 something artists. That's a lot. Just taking time to listen to over 40 LA rappers and sit down and go through their music and critique it and get feedback. Not to mention all the music I get submitted on a daily basis. When I say new LA rappers, for the most part, all sound the same, I listed the 3 or 4 archetypes of music that they make. And I wasn't talking about the RJs, the Dracos, the Nipsey Hussles, the Game. I grew up on that type of music. That shit was great. I'm talking about these new cats, these brand new artists whose music I don't find appeasing because for the most part it all sounds the same, or it has 2 different sounds, that's it. 2 different or maybe 3 different cards. So yeah, I think this gentleman might need to tap in with my content a little bit more so that he can see I'm never talking about, oh, RJ, The Game, Draco, and Nipsey all sound alike. No, I have viral tweets where I said Nipsey didn't sound like Draco, Draco didn't sound like Dom didn't sound like Kendrick didn't sound like RJ, RJ didn't sound like Problem. Everybody, when I was coming up, when I was in high school, everybody had their own lane, their own sound. What's your take on versatility, or maybe the lack of versatility in modern LA rap?
That's the biggest problem.
Facts, then.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. I think, there's not really a culture of a scene, like a producer or somebody, or a place where people are hanging, or some kind of environment that's like just fostering a creative like thing where people are making great music. Everyone's got their little camp. They're trying to make music to make money, status, fortune, fame, whatever, and it doesn't resonate because it's like, they might have their viral little hit, but it's like, what else is there after that? There's nothing when you start deeping into it more, you know what I mean? So, and the lack of versatility and kind of like, I don't even want to say lack of talent, but like some of these people are talented, but they're not even like studying their craft, or like, they're not putting their 10,000 hours to get better. You know what I mean? I remember when I saw Be Real from Cypress Hill first rap. Oh, he improved so much, man. So, I mean, it's just like, if you put in time and you work on your thing, you're going to get better. You know what I mean? So this is just something that I don't know if some of the younger rappers, the newer rappers in LA, is enough of that's going on.
Even care about it, to be honest, because the second you start talking about this can improve, that can improve, they want to tell you how much money they supposedly have or something like that. It's like, we're talking about skill sets.
Well, quite a while ago, musicians turned into content creators more or less. So it's like, at the end of the day, if I do something, that stirs up content, regardless if it's actually my music or not, then I could be generating algorithm pay cycle things. So yeah, people are somewhat rewarded maybe into not caring, because the bar is pretty low. I mean, like I feel like the bar is pretty low right now for local LA rappers anyway. I'm not trying to diss anyone, but
No, honest criticism. I think the bar is extremely low, and hopefully my page, my platform, my report card can be a consequence for settling for that low standard. If you put out some bump music, or if you think it's okay to drop one song a year and not give us a mixtape or album, or do any of those things, I'm going to give you an F. You're going to hear from me.
That's something that, okay. So how long ago when I was researching for that show, Evan? Was that like a year ago? Yeah. Okay, so I was researching for this Netflix show that I was supposed to get hired for, that took place in South Central, that I didn't get hired for. But anyway, I looked at every upcoming artist from Los Angeles at this time. Mm-hmm. And just now going over your report card, I more or less revisited most of those artists or whatever, the ones that are still like putting out music or whatever, right? Okay. Briefly, really quick, just today. But the thing that I noticed then, the thing I noticed now was like, so many of these artists are doing such a bad job managing their YouTube page, first of all. Yeah. And usually it's like, when I go to their YouTube page, go to the videos in the order of when they're released, And it's like, oh, 7 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And then, or they put something out 6 months ago, but their big hit was like 6 years ago or 3 years ago. It's like, yeah, it's really bad. Like just the like consistency is not there. The dedication to it is not there. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'd rather people not put out stuff than put out uninspired stuff.
True.
I mean, you know, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know how you're expecting to have success if you're not like, and another thing too is like, I can't tell you how many of the artists today, I went to their YouTube page and the video that they're showcasing, because you can pick which video, you know, you want to showcase, is never their, a lot of times was not their newest video. Like, what are they doing? They have old video up. They're not even taking it. They're not running the platform right. Like, I had to go check the order to see, you know, your new video's got, you know, 822 views or 3,092 views or whatever. You know, it's like that should be the first thing you should be promoting. You know what I mean? Not your 2-year-old video. You know, so yeah.
They move ass backwards, in my opinion, to put it plainly, to speak bluntly. They move ass backwards for the most part, and they need the critiques. So that's why, in response to that gentleman, I'm gonna keep listening to LA Rap and responding how I see fit. If I'm saying that they lack versatility, it's for a reason. There's other people that agree with that. When I say they lack consistency, it's for a reason. The industry agrees with me because these artists' music isn't penetrating anywhere outside of South Central LA for the most part. So that's how I know I'm right.
Right. The consistency thing is documented fact. Now, these artists could be putting out music that's not on their own YouTube page, but if it was vibing, it would come up in the search, first of all, right? If it was had any kind of algorithm. And they might be putting out music that's not on YouTube, which would be retarded if they are. I don't, you know, if you're an artist in 2026, so I don't know. But yeah, it's like, just from a business standpoint, there's so many of the independent LA artists, like the majority of them are doing a really bad job at like a consistent releases and simple basic marketing things like putting their newest video as the video that comes up, you know, on their YouTube page and things like that. You know what
just
I mean?
finding a decent photo of half of them is tedious. Just to find a nice presentable press photo or promotional photo, it's impossible. Everything's an iPhone selfie or them standing in the hood with a bunch of homies or them chucking up a gang sign from some old Facebook picture. It's rare that they even do photo shoots for the most part. It's, you know, it's just impossible. But we're going to get back to ranting about LA rappers in a minute. I do have some, I guess, inspiring news to share. So I told you guys while I was live streaming on Saturday, or was it Friday, I checked my phone, went to Instagram while I was on here, and I saw that Punch, the president of Top Dog Entertainment, followed me on Instagram. Now, we've been followed each other. Thank you. We've been following each other on Twitter, but he followed me on Instagram while I was on the live stream. Nonetheless, I get off the live stream and I got some messages from him, and he was telling me how he appreciated my commentary and that it's needed in this space. And he was just basically giving me my flowers. He asked me a lot of different questions, like what part of LA I grew up in, how long I've been doing this. He asked me about why all the podcasters don't like me, like why am I so hated on the scene and stuff like that. We had a very lengthy conversation, and like I said, he gave me some flowers and props, and so shout out to Punch from TDE. Let me show you one screenshot. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, of course.
That's great, man.
I do. Thank you so much. I do want to show you one.
Sometimes it's not the amount, but the quality of the people that are tuning in that can be really important, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then that'll lead to as well, you know?
Absolutely. It's interesting. To that point, I will say, because I don't have the most followers. I have a nice amount of followers on Instagram, but I don't have the most followers. I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. I got like 33,000 followers. So people would be like, oh, well, why would somebody want to be posted on your page versus these hood media pages that got hundreds of thousands of followers? And it's like, well, I have executives, high-level executives follow me. The president, vice president of A&R and Atlantic Records follows me. And you give me different label execs follow me. Vice president of Empire, things like that. So like you said, it's about the quality of it, not necessarily the quantity.
Also, too, with those report cards, like you bring a lot of value because just even like I could go through that list. Let's say I was actually doing A&R or something like that. You'd save me a lot of research. I can go look at, not saying I'm even looking at your grades. I can go look for myself and see what I think and look at their numbers or whatever. But at least you gave me the list of all these people because, it's like, I mean, some people just, anyway, I think just your critique of it, your exposure of independent artists, you've done it from a bunch of regions and everything like that. It brings a lot of value, I think, to people on the executive business side. So I'm not surprised that you're getting those kind of followers.
Thank you. And yes, I feel like that's why I got invited up to Def Jam last month or last year when Warner Records had me up there, or you'll see me at Empire once or twice a year. These label execs bring me in, they ask me about you guys' music. So while you guys are bashing me for my critique, the A&Rs are seeking me for my opinion on who's hot coming out of LA and the main thing, before we get back to the Punch DMs, the main thing from these label executives is they agree with me. They always, that's the first thing they say is, I agree with you, but I can't say it. Because of my job or my corporate standing, I can't be on here going back and forth with these rappers. Or I feel like sometimes they go out to the clubs, so they don't want any gang-affiliated rappers to run down on them.
Right, sure.
So they can't get on here and tell y'all they think your music is weak or they don't like your production. Y'all feel like y'all production is stagnant, X, Y, Z. Me, I'm not afraid to say that. I'm just not afraid to share my opinion in that regard. But yeah, shout out to Punch for tapping in. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. Now, another reason why these DMs, getting DM'd by the president of Top Dog Entertainment is it's interesting to say the least. So he hit me up on Saturday. Yeah, this is a Saturday, not Friday, you guys. So he was saying, looking at some of your commentary is definitely needed. That was this DM, and I'll show one more. Oh boy, you guys can't see that. I'm on the bottom of what he said. Can I scroll down on this?
But yeah, I mean, I know one of the topics is talking about hip hop journalism, from back in the day to now. And it's like, yeah, that's what he's speaking to. It's like, there's just a lack of even the credible hip hop journalists, they're not really covering independent artists. They're just talking about the bigger artists and things that are going on or the bigger issues in hip hop mostly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's rare. They'll save it for the very end of their episode where they'll shout out to Whoop De Whoop from da 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 da.
But
people clicking on
catching that? Yeah.
Exactly. I want to show you guys the second one. It's very important that you see the message on this one. So I'm gonna just pull it up on the screen. Here we go. That's the first one. Here we go. Then back to here. Browser, no image. All right, so the reason why these, as I was saying, the reason why these DMs from Punch are so important is because, excuse me for covering you.
No, it's okay. No worries.
So he says, nah, man, keep at it. You're saying the right things. We have to elevate. So the reason why these DMs from Punch are so important is because there's been these TDE flunkies from other podcasts, like when they're not working at TDE, they do these podcasts and they've been spreading, why are you guys letting a gay guy grade your music? Why are you submitting music to a gay guy? We don't need his opinion in hip hop. He's not from the streets. He's irrelevant. He don't have a platform, da 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 da. And like I told you guys when you met me, you can't listen to what the workers say. What does the boss have to say? So let this be a life lesson sometimes. People will hate on you, be negative towards you, say negative things about you, and the whole time their boss is a fan. Their boss is supporting you. Their boss is interested in the type of content you're dropping or whatnot. And so I just look at it like a full 360 moment I went through. For the past 2 years, I've been getting talked about by TDE subordinates, and the president of TDE hopped in my DMs while I was on live stream and told me that the things I'm doing is going to elevate LA and they need to hear my type of content and my type of commentary is important. That's just God preparing the table for me in the presence of my enemies. And yeah, I was astonished, but I was also comforted by these DMs. So shout out to Punch.
Shout out to
TDE.
Punch.
Absolutely. I'm sure that's going to make a few of his employees' blood boil. I'm not the most liked over there. But, all right. So you were talking about the state of hip-hop journalism now versus then. That's pretty much the next topic.
Okay.
I want you, because you used to work at Source Magazine.
I did. In the early days, I had a column talking about what was going on in LA. I wrote about Cypress Hill before they came out.
Okay.
Things like that. Whatever was going on, at that time. I was a young DJ working at a label called Delicious Vinyl that put out Young MC and Tone Loc, some big pop rap acts. And so I was like, that was my first job. And at that time, or right before I went over there, I'd gotten the gig at The Source, No, it was after I went there. I'm sorry.
It was after the
It was when I was at Delicious that I got the job at The Source. They sent me to New York to take Young MC around, and that's when I met Matty C. And John Schechter and all the guys from The Source. And they were like, we need somebody in LA that can tell us what's going on. So I was really plugged in, and so they gave me. I had a little column in a magazine out here already that was from the Bay Area called BAM, Bay Area Music. And so I had a column in that. So I was already doing a little journalism thing. And so they hired me, and that was just really prestigious for me. I mean, Muggs from Cypress Hill took that article, showed it to a BMG publishing guy. They got a publishing deal, and then they made a demo and got their record deal from that.
All so he always article in the Source magazine.
A couple words. It was
blurb.
My article was just like, oh, I went to this party last night. Oh, I DJ'd for the Fresh Prince TV show. Oh, there's this new group called Cypress Hill. So my whole article would cover like 15 whatever things. You know what I mean? So one of the things I talked about was Cypress Hill, and Muggs took that, showed it to him, and so
got a deal off of it.
Yeah, and I interviewed B Real the other day for my little white boy from Crenshaw doc, and he was like, yeah, that really helped us, So it was just great. They remembered, good guys, you know what I mean?
It's crazy because they ended up beefing with Source Magazine over was it their sophomore album review or one of their early albums reviews? They felt it was negative.
I'm not sure, but the Source magazine like really changed. It was like really of the culture, and then it wasn't of the culture. Got different Benzino, right.
But all right, so I brought up the hip hop media thing to say the current state of, especially I'm gonna speak to West Coast hip hop media as I know, but just hip hop media at large. I feel like, and I've said this before, a lot of these so-called hip hop media persons don't know shit about hip hop. And I can name several examples. There's a podcaster out here named Mackwop. About a year ago, he's caught on camera. We're watching his show. He doesn't know who Melly Mel is.
Wow.
And he's a DJ / podcaster. I could literally pull up the clip of this guy not knowing who Melly Mel from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 is. It's like, he wrote The Message. That's the first hip-hop song with some real substance to it.
Sure.
How do you not know who Melly Mel is, but you're a DJ, you're Schoolboy Q's DJ / a podcaster, but you don't know who Melly Mel is, or T-Rail, who's the gentleman from Back on Fig.
Right.
Last year, we're having an online discussion about did Latinos play a role in the invention of hip hop, and he said yes. And then someone said, "Well, what did Kool Herc do?" And T-Rail responded, "Rap." So, like, you think Kool Herc was a rapper? You think hip hop was invented by a rapper? Like, and then we'll sit on camera talking to him like he has a job on the radio. He works at Power 106. You're a Power 106 personality. You do a weekly podcast, and you think that hip hop was invented by MC Kool Herc instead of DJ Kool Herc. That's what I mean by I feel like LA West Coast hip hop media personalities don't know hip hop.
Yeah, there's a especially in like the internet media culture. There's a lot of people came on and just started talking louder or being like more charismatic or something like this and being deemed as experts, but they're not really, maybe they don't know what they're talking about, or maybe they know what they're talking about, but just like there's big gaps in their education, or it's just like it's their opinion anyway mostly. So but I mean, yeah, when you don't know the foundations, but then you're speaking on it like you do, that's lame. Like, it's one thing to not know who Kool Herc is, but to think he's a rapper and not, and say this, but you don't, you know what I mean? Like that, like, just say you don't know. Like, learn. Go watch Fab Freddy on Drink Champs or something. Like, do a little research. I mean, it's sad that a lot of younger people don't know a lot about the history of hip hop, especially the artists and people that are involved. You think they'd want to study the history of their craft a little bit and stuff like that. And same for the media people, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, but I mean, I think, like even when like No Jumper started, he was the only one who was interviewing people like XXX and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he didn't know shit about hip hop, but he knew that this was a cool scene and no one else was covering it, and he could come up by doing it. So at that moment, he was really contributing to the culture, I feel like, in a way, because he had a platform that was popping, and he was the one that was giving those people opportunities. After that, like, you know,
I think that's what predates or precursors that transition, the fact that he wasn't rooted in hip hop knowledge. Because if you're rooted in hip hop knowledge and hip hop culture, you're not gonna make some of those transitions that, you know what I'm saying?
No, exactly. And I mean, and the artists are a lot to blame too, because they're going on these platforms of people that aren't from the culture instead of supporting, you know, some of the people that are of the culture. And I mean, you know, I know there was that debate recently where Joe Budden was talking about Kendrick goes to all the white places. And I saw a Screwface Gene, a guy I like a lot, you know, was talking about, well, look, they're all white places. If you break down this is owned by that or whatever type of thing. And, you know, yeah, it's like fine lines what you do. But I think the point that Screw kind of missed on that one was what Budden was saying was like, he's going to Apple. He's only going to really corporate like things. There are black people interviewing him, and he does sometimes put in black people in those positions and stuff. And I'm not here to criticize Kendrick in any way, shape, or form. Remember, he was one of my top 5 for my dinner. You know what I mean? But it is a kind of valid criticism of him that he's not coming back to, you know, without saying it, Joe Budden's like, he should be at the Joe Budden podcast. You know what I mean? Because I'm eating off the Joe Budden podcast interview, and if Kendrick does it, like, we're gonna eat. Now, if Apple, if he does Ebro and Adisa or what,
Nadeska.
So sorry, Nadeska, I love her too. If he's doing Nadeska, Ebro, any of these kind of like, you know, iHeart, Apple, you know, huge corporate things, it's good for those people interviewing him, but they don't got no equity in it. They're not eating off of it like if he did Gilly the Kid or
$1 Million Worth of Game.
Yeah, you know what I mean, or Drink Champs, you know.
Yeah, but I feel like, not to cut you off, I feel like artists should go where they're going to be knowledgeable interviewers.
Yeah, and Kendrick's earned the right to go anywhere he wants to go,
right.
And he did a lot of the interviews coming up, Breakfast Clubs and all these kind of things. So whatever, you know. And I mean, he did the Hard Knock TV or whatever, local dude out here. No, but I think people should be able to interview whoever they want. I'm not really on that thing, but it was weird, like when Drake was doing that White Girls podcast and stuff.
In bed with what's her name, Bobby A.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, you know, you're just scared of. You only want softballs. You know what I mean? You're like,
they aren't going to ask certain questions.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a dope convo. I feel like, and that's more so towards hip hop journalism at whole at large.
Right.
But on the West Coast tip, it's like I remember when Reason, when he was still signed to TDE, when he went up to Back on Fig and they couldn't name 5 songs from him. And then it became a laughable clip moment, and they reacted to it on Joe Budden podcast.
It's funny because I was thinking about that clip before I came up to the show or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, because when I was going to the list and I saw Reason, like, at first I was like blanking on who he was at first, and I was like, oh, that's the dude that went up to and wild out and dissed TDE at on Fig or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And I know AD from back in the day.
Shout to AD.
Yeah, shout to AD. I got love for AD. I've never met anyone else from that podcast. But
yeah, AD's on Community, but same umbrella.
Right, exactly, right.
Shout out to AD.
So yeah, I always thought he was a really cool dude. But yeah,
that's a running theme out here though. That whole hip hop knowledge is not first for our space. Now they can tell you what gang is beefing with what gang.
I was gonna say, I think it's, you know, the problem. I think it's okay for them to have their lane. And we got guys like Justin Hunt. We got people out here that are
hip hop DX.
You know, like there was that moment when Head was doing that thing with Elliot Wilson and the white guy.
That got canceled. Bigger picture. Oh, what's his name? Jeremy Hecht.
Right.
Yeah, that show got canceled.
Right. I mean, I think there's fine for them to have their, like, hey, we do gangbang hip hop content. You know what I mean? But it's like, the problem is that that's the loudest voice, and there's not really that much good alternative that Cohen acted. Like I said, look, definitely there's the Company Man, and there's most other people I like aren't in LA, like Wayno.
Talk to Wayno, man, a few times,
Rob Markham.
That's where Rob Markman has me blocked, but yeah, shout to Rob Markman.
But to me, the thing about all those guys is they all cover the same content. So after I've seen the story on whoever covered it first, I'm not watching it on them, and they're not. Their diversity is there. They need to get more diverse in the content.
There's no nuance to it.
No, yeah, and then like the lane that you're talking about, like you guys all cover like oh, Flacco's lying about who killed Draco the Ruler. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this lane and that lane. They're like different algorithms or whatever. But, you know, and then you really mix it up. I mean, you talk a lot about music. That's the thing is no one talks about, everyone talks about artists. Everyone talks about when they get arrested, but no one actually talks about the music. You're like crazy? One of the only person that talks about the music.
On the LA rap scene, absolutely. On the West Coast hip hop scene, absolutely. And I appreciate that. What is your take on, because I call it hip hop police work, and I read a poll on my Instagram asking, is Flacco exposing the alleged, we have to put emphasis on this alleged, because in his video he provided no evidence whatsoever.
Right.
But is Flacco exposing the alleged murder of Draco the Ruler? Is that hip hop journalism, or is that more hip hop police adjacent, in your opinion?
It's messy. I haven't watched the video. I saw surrounding videos about it. I was watching Rick Rock and I didn't like his video takes on it. There's just so much like, I'm gonna have to watch 6 minutes of this video for you to say one thing at the end that's new. Like I already heard this part of the story. I got shit to do. And I'm not even really that interested. Fuck it. Like, what's the story? Then the dude Al Prophet, I watched his take on it, which I thought was all right. He said exactly what you said. There's no evidence whatsoever in here. You know what I mean? And so the thing is, like, look, the loss of Draco was very impactful for LA, man. I tell you, when I move around in the streets and I'm in the hood, that's all I hear people listening to, man. It's crazy.
Still, later,
yeah, right. So it's like I feel his impact deeply, you know. And and his man Jeff Weiss, the writer. There's a hip hop journalist for you.
No, yes, absolutely. You got to give it to him.
That dude is, you know,
even back when he was at LA Weekly.
And he worships the ground that Draco walked on, you know, respectfully, you know, in a good way, you know. Yeah. But I don't know, but yeah, there's a real lack of like, but who hears his platform, like, and I don't think he's even doing this kind of stuff or whatever. But so yeah, I mean, I'm not into that. I think it's too gossipy. It's too dirty. It's like if there's real news, yeah. Like when the Pooh Shiesty shit broke, it was like, whoa, he did what? You know, we all wanted to hear about it.
But that's real news.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Well, not even the police department. The FBI or the feds do a press conference and announce these details. It's not just someone on YouTube saying that, oh, this person did this in another case, I'm assuming they did this to Draco. I'm
not really a fan of the Trapmore Ross, like, deep investigation. Seems like he's, like, you know, it's the police, you know.
It's speculative.
And Flacco, man, there's all these tapes of him like, oh, I'm going to the police, I'm talking to the police, I'm done with, fuck these guys, they should all go to jail, whatever. Like, what are you on,
wishing death to gang members, wishing death to gangster rappers like Future, Young Thug.
He doesn't live in LA or what?
He moved out of LA. He moved back to Texas, but because I used to work with him at No Jumper, and he never left his house. He was like apartment.
See, that's the thing about these guys, like academics too. They've ruined. They have no life outside of. They can't go anywhere without, you know, 3 big security guards. Is it worth it? You know, I mean, like, I know you're making a lot of money, but geez, you know.
My last comment on the Flacco videos is the way I know it's not hip hop journalism. The telling factor is the fact, no pun intended, is the red bandana around his head and around his neck in the video and the gang signs he's throwing up. So a real journalist who's breaking a story about a murder isn't going to play with it like that.
And
like
Trapmore Ross did the same shit, right? He dressed like Tekashi the one time.
Yeah.
And there was he dressed like somebody else that people were even more pissed about. I'm trying to remember what
if you're going to be breaking a serious story where you're talking about someone being murdered, a father, a brother, a son being murdered, you wouldn't mock the situation by wearing red bandanas because you're alluding or accusing someone.
No, his whole argument breaks down in so many ways, like, oh, you know, I'm doing this because I'm trying to look out and care about people. But I know about this other stuff, but I won't tell you about that.
That's true.
Like, but you care about the victims or whatever. Like, what do you know? I mean, you're so enraged that all this stuff goes on. You're so enraged for clickbait, for rage bait.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and God bless him, man. The guy's like teaching a master class in how to come from fucking Nebraska or wherever the fuck he came
Liberia.
from. Right. To show up out of the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden become super relevant and make a lot of money. It's just a shame though, but it's like, what course? How long will it last? And like, you know, Like, there's a lot of people in the music industry who make a lot more money than me, but I get a lot of love rolling around the community. Hopefully, after this podcast, nothing changes, bro. So you can be careful about any lists or anything
you show me.
But but I get nothing but love in the community. And even though I'm not in Los Angeles much because I live out the country, I am here fairly often. And so, but I really appreciate that I get love in the community, and nobody's mad at me because all I did was help people make money. You know what I mean? So, but I haven't really been in journalism for a long time. I've just been on the business side of helping artists make a living from their craft or make money from their art.
Absolutely. So we can go ahead and get into your Q&A. Some people in the chat might want to know who you are. Like I said, this is Paul Stewart. He is the founding president of Def Jam West. He also discovered and signed acts like Warren G, Coolio, managed Pharcyde, House of Pain. The list goes on. He also was a music supervisor for both Poetic Justice, which I haven't seen. Believe it or not, I've never seen Poetic Justice. Oh, wow. We're going to talk about that. Okay. And a hit series, Snowfall. Yeah. So we're going to talk about all of that, but all right, let me pull up my questions really quickly. What is the greatest LA rap? This is my icebreaker. Okay. What's the greatest LA rap album of all time and why?
Oof. Well, as a DJ, I was always more of a single guy. You know what I mean? But I have opinions on this. I think albums... He's from Long Beach, but I think Snoop's first album, as a body of work, and like so much in it, like it was so anticipated, and it delivered so much, and it was meant so much at that time. It was so impactful to the culture, and continues to be to this day. There's still joints on there that people are still playing. You know what I mean? Right. So I'm gonna give it to that. I mean, I was a huge Cube fan. And, Cube's solo albums were a big deal. The first couple ones, you know what I mean? I could have easily said one of those as well.
Most Wanted, Predator, Death Certificate.
Right. I could have easily said one of those as well,
Okay, cool. So you already told us that your father owned a 4 family unit, I'm assuming, a piece of property in Inglewood. Yeah. But then you moved at the age of 1 to Baldwin Hills.
Yep.
What was your childhood like in that area?
Unique. There were no white people. All the white people had moved out.
White flight
was white flight. It was the height of white flight. My dad actually closed the deal on the house 1 month after the Watts riots. So the white flight had already been in effect in South Central, and then when the Watts riots happened, it was like
that's it.
Throw steroids into the mix, So it just really accelerated. So my father bought the home. Right in the Dons, right above the J's, so my relationship with that community was, I had friends that lived in the jungles. I lost my virginity to a girl from that neighborhood, but I was from Baldwin Hills, so I was, very around, like on my block we had like a black brain surgeon, a black judge, we had a black NFL player, famous player Dejon Jones lived next door to us, So I saw black excellence, and then I saw how most black people lived, the whole, just the 180 degrees, from the jungles to Baldwin Hills, you know what I mean? And then, like in Lamert and Crenshaw, more of like, and middle class and things like, some of those areas that were more like, so it was, I got treated very well. There wasn't, in the era I came from, it was, the racial tensions weren't really that bad. Not for a white guy that lived in a black neighborhood in Los Angeles. There were very few of us. I was really rare. And because, I wasn't making problems for nobody and nobody gave me problems. I was white. I was on a skateboard. I had, I wasn't trying to be black. I wasn't even that. I was getting acclimated into black culture as I got older. You know what I mean? Like when I was in high school, I started hanging out with guys that lived off of Slauson, kind of like where Nipsey's store were, and they were really turning me on to like funk and early hip hop. I'm old, man, so hip hop was just starting when I was in high school. Okay. So people, right. So people in Crenshaw and the community were listening to Rick James and Daz Band and Cameo and all that kind of stuff. So that's what my homies in high school put me up on, and then they were making fun of my hair and my car and the way I dressed, and they were just kind of, because I was like on some real white boy shit, up until then, and so that's when I started really getting into black culture. But I was around it from a little kid. I mean, I had like Stevie Wonder 45, so I was always like surrounded by it and in it, and it really affected me, But I had a good upbringing. I didn't really have very few incidents where people were upset with me about, you know, being white or anything like that.
Okay.
You know, a couple little tiny things, but nothing too big. I had a gift of gab, so I talked my way out of any situations that might have been hectic, I guess. And I just acclimated into the culture. People just thought I was cool. People more looked out for me, you know.
Got you. You actually answered a few of my initial questions.
Okay.
So let's get to like, what was your earliest introduction to hip hop? What's the first hip hop record you remember?
I remember hearing Rapper's Delight, and I remember hearing Rocket by Herbie Hancock, yeah, right around the same time, you know. I remember my mom went into the drugstore and Rocket was playing on the radio, and like just my mind was blown. It was like 2 turntables scratching, but yeah, and Rapper's Delight, I mean, it was like, it's like a 15-minute song, you know, like learn every lyric, you know. It was just like mind-boggling. I was a couple years behind New York, you know, like by the time I heard it probably in like 81, the song came out in 79, probably. But you gotta understand, man, there's no internet, you know. This is before K-Day and everything like that. So, you know, we, though it would come pretty soon, but, you know, so hip hop was slower to get to LA. And I was also, you know, I was in a black community, but I wasn't like I've talked to some real old school heads that lived in projects and Compton and stuff, and they were getting mixtapes from New York and stuff like that. I wasn't as, you know, integrated into black culture like that, but LA was a funk city.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you play the wrong Barcade song at the house party and it's going up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so yeah, it was like always really like funk driven. Obviously, as you can see, like, you know, I remember in the swap meet, Mid-City swap meet that burned down, they used to be over there. They had a whole section, and it was like rappers who sampled Zamp.
Just that section.
Just rappers who sampled Zamp.
That's very niche.
Yeah.
What's the first record you brought with your own money? Hip hop record, obviously.
Yeah, because the first record I bought was the Beatles record. Well, you know, when I started DJing in like '82, and I was buying records and stuff, and so we would just buy anything that was on Def Jam or Profile. There was only like a crate of hip hop records, so you know, I really don't remember the first one. And there was a guy from San Jose. This guy named Leroy Worthy, this black guy, and he had the crate. I think he was a drug dealer or something, but thinking about it back on it, he had a crate that had every like hip hop record more or less that had come out. And when I started just doing dances, and I had a little crew guy, he would let us use the records. He just wanted to hear his stuff. So at first I didn't even have to, and then I also got the school to pay to buy records. I was hustling, man. I got the school to pay to buy records, but I ended up keeping, you know what I mean, for the dances and stuff. So, you know, but I was using Leroy Worthy's records too for a little while. So I had a whole crate of hip hop records, but I wasn't even buying them.
You saying all the hip hop records that were out at the time fit in one crate?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That is interesting. How did you get into DJing? Like getting the turntable and the equipment and the setup and stuff?
It was kind of funny. The guy that was in the dorms, he came over one day and he was like, "Yo, you're always playing your music so loud." He goes, "You do the music for the dance." Now, that was the first thing that I did, and this was just before the turntables and stuff came in. I didn't have turntables, so what I did was I made a pause tape, you know, where I would like play the song, and I was taping it, and then right before it ended, I would pause it, and then I put the next song on, and right before it would start, I hit record, and you know, and I had a bunch of these tapes, and then when I went to the party, I was playing my tape, and I had a turntable for when I had to switch the tape over, when I had to eject the tape and switch it, I would play a song on the turntable. Okay. That's what I was, and it was one of those turntables where like, you could, you know,
so you was finessing the situation.
Yeah, that was the first. The guy said, "Do the music for the dance." I wasn't a DJ or whatever. But shortly after I did that, my homeboy that was interested in DJ, he got a settlement. He was from Ernie Rodriguez. Shout out to Ernie from Cerritos, and he got a settlement. And then he bought equipment. So then we had equipment. And then the crazy thing, I was up north. I was in Sonoma State. You know, I had left LA to go to school, and what's crazy is then this guy from Lancaster, but he was affiliated with Uncle Jam's Army. His name was Little Red. He came up there, so we had a crew. We had the Rainbow Crew, man. I was like getting the gigs. I had the school buying records for us. You know, I was hustler supreme. And then the Mexican dude had the system, and the black dude could really DJ.
Wow.
Yeah, he was teaching us how to DJ.
That's a perfect set.
Yeah, you know, had the Jerry crew and the cowboy hat and everything.
Did a photo shoot or something.
I got some pictures. You could throw one up. I'll send it to you if you want.
The optic is crazy.
Yeah.
That's right. So you started DJing in college?
Yeah, in like 1982.
Okay. When he said Uncle Jam's Army, you guys that don't know, that was the biggest hip hop event promoters. They used to throw shows at LA Coliseum, collective of promoters, DJs, and whatnot, correct?
Yeah. Egyptian Lover and all these guys. Roger Clayton started it. Yeah.
Shout out to all of them. How did you get your first internship at Arista Records?
Well, okay, so after college, I moved back to LA. You know, I'm living in Baldwin Hills with my parents. They were hating that. You know what I mean? And I'm hating even more. It's a bad situation. So they're like, you got to get a job. And I had gotten like a couple hours, literally, like, I think I had a shift for like 4 hours a week at this record store on Pico, kind of famous store called Cranes. The guy felt sorry for me and gave me this little shift. And I met a guy up there that worked for Arista Records. And I was just asking him, hey, how do you get in the business or whatever? And he was like, oh, we need an intern. And so it's crazy too, because I must have gone to like so many interviews, and then they kept canceling on me at the last second and everything, you know. But they wanted to see, I guess that was like part of the test.
Oh, okay.
And it was crazy too. It was like $100 a week, and they were working us like
it was
60
a paid
hours.
internship.
Yeah, but it's like 60 hours a week though.
Oh,
like you know,
better than nothing.
Yeah, and I was DJing. I started doing this club called Water the Bush, which was real influential. So it's like I was learning the business, and then I was involved in like the most important hip hop clubs at the time in LA. So that's kind of how my star rose.
Okay, but so how does it go from? Well, no. What were some of your like roles or responsibilities at this internship at Arista, which is a Clive Davis label, correct?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Oh man, I was the lowest person on the totem pole. All I did was call stores and say, hey, you got Milli Vanilli in stock? Okay, if not, here's a poster. I'll mail you a poster. You know, put up. Can you, you know? And here's a copy to play in store or whatever.
Girl,
and,
you know it's true.
Yeah, I was dealing with the pop stuff. They had my partner dealt with the black stuff, so I wasn't even dealing with black music unless it was like crossed over.
Crossover.
You know? Right.
Okay, what's Arista's roster at that time outside of Milli Vanilli?
They were one of the early.
Oh,
they were one of the early. Right. Well, they were one of the early labels, major labels that was messing with hip hop. They done a deal with those Philly artists, those dudes that ended up going to jail and stuff. Steady B, and the guys that robbed banks and everything.
Shoot.
3 Times Dope. They signed Bobcat out of L.A.
Okay.
Had a pop kind of record. That was the hip hop. But yeah, we had Milli Vanilli. We had. All Around the World and I. That was coming out when I was working there.
Oh, that's the record that
the girl
Puffy sample with Mace. Okay.
I'm blanking on her name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from there, you get a job at Delicious Vinyl.
Right. Very cool independent hip hop label. They sent me to New York. That's where I'm meeting all the New York people, and they're like, "Oh, you should help us with the Source." You know what I mean? So I started writing for the Source, and you know, like I said, I was just connecting with more people. The clubs that I was DJing in LA were becoming more important, that I was involved in as a promotion and DJ, so I was meeting more people like that. And, you know, I was just, you know, really connecting with people in the industry. It was like the industry was run out of New York, so all those people were like, oh, we need somebody in LA.
How often would you have to fly to New York, though?
I only went a couple. I was there.
Okay.
But just meeting those people and making those connections was really important, you know?
All right, so when you worked at the Source, obviously you visited their office, correct?
Yes.
In New York. What was their office like? What was the size of it? Like, what do you remember for going up to the Source Magazine's office, headquarters in New York? And did you see Dave Mays frequently?
Oh, yeah. Dave Mays and John Schechter were co-owners at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little bigger than this.
Okay.
It was a whole nother. Is there a pee break here?
A what? A what?
A bathroom?
Yeah,
break?
right there.
Yeah,
oh,
right.
Yeah, go ahead. You good?
Yeah, okay, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
man. I'm sorry, man. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm like,
That water is
break
running
is
through
crazy.
me. Okay.
All is well.
Okay.
Paul's story be right back, y'all. Palm trees in the chat. Oh, where's Tam? My co-host Tam is in Jamaica. You guys know that, though, because I told you she was going to Jamaica. Hopefully she's back by Wednesday. If not, I won't be here Friday because I'm going to Vegas. So you'll see me Monday. But hopefully Tam is back by Wednesday. Shout out to Tam. She posted some photos while she was out there. Shout out to her. It's good that she's getting that break. Shout out to D-Reax TV. Shout out to Seven. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Like I said, we got Paul Stewart in the building. Went to the restroom. Founder of Def Jam West. Signed Warren G. We about to start talking about that. Signed and discovered Coolio. Music supervisor for both Poetic Justice and Snowfall. Offset and Lil TJ was just shot. How true is that? I know. Oh my gosh.
Wait, what?
This is true. Offset shot near Florida casino. What in the world? Hold on, let me close this door. That is crazy. They're saying that Offset got shot. Offset and Lil TJ got shot out in
Together?
Florida. Yeah, I guess so. Let me pull it up on the screen.
Oh, wow.
Breaking
Sorry
news.
about that.
Breaking news, you guys. Somebody said it in the chat, so then I went to go look. Offset shot near Florida casino. Scary update involving Offset. The former Migos rapper was shot near a popular casino in Florida. A rep for the rapper confirms to TMZ Offset was shot Monday near the Seminole or whatnot Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Hopefully he's all right. Prayers and thoughts to him and the family, his family. That's crazy.
What did you say about Lil TJ?
Oh, well, that's what the original thing, like right here, it says Offset and Lil TJ was shot.
Oh,
But
because
this-
didn't Lil TJ come on and say that Offset like took money from him and didn't pay him back or something?
I don't remember that story. But yeah, this is not being reported as Lil TJ. It does just say Offset got shot. It doesn't say anything on Lil TJ. Robbery gone bad.
Prayers to Offset, man.
Man,
It's
Offset.
dangerous out
Yeah,
here,
that's
man.
crazy. All right, you said earlier that you met Tupac. So
Yeah, I spent some good time with Tupac.
how was Tupac? Let's
Oh, great, man. I mean, really intelligent guy, versatile, very versatile.
Sure.
I met him, when I met John Singleton, he had just wrapped the filming of Poetic Justice, and he needed somebody to music supervise the film and run his record label.
Okay.
He met me out, I was DJing, he liked the music I was playing, and then I invited him to this unsigned artist showcase I was doing at the Roxy. He came up there, was like sold out. He was like, damn, you put this on? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh man, I want you to work on my movie and run my record label. So, and then right after he did that, he said, hey, I'm gonna take you and Tupac with me to Freaknik for like celebrating the wrap of the movie.
So you went to Atlanta with Tupac and John Singleton.
We rolled around in a limo, and so like I had spent hours with him. You know what I mean? Because I had met him before and after at different times, but like I really got quality time with him during those times. And obviously he had a lot of respect for John. John was had already done Boys in the Hood.
Yep.
Was the first black filmmaker to ever get nominated for Best Director, the youngest person to ever get nominated for Best Director, like all kind of stuff. But anyway, he did Boys in the Hood. So. It was a lot of intelligent conversations. John was a really smart, kind of nerdy type, guy, and great person. I owe so much to. And so, so it was cool. We went around Freaknik. There was a crazy incident with Left Eye.
Because TLC's from Atlanta.
Right.
Okay.
And, that they had been dating or whatever. You know what I mean?
Pac got around.
Right, and we were actually in front of the Club 112 and sitting in the limo, like after the club or something, and she came over and just started making a scene, and Pac was like, let's bounce. So we went back to the hotel, and then she was waiting for him in front of the hotel and made another scene.
She beat y'all to the hotel? That's crazy. I've heard crazy stories about that, about Left Eye. Rest in peace to her.
Yeah, rest in peace to her.
All right, well, back to your stint at tenure at Delicious Vinyl. What were some of your responsibilities when it came to artists like Tone Loc and Young MC?
I was helping promoting their records at retail. So I had moved. I was doing what I was doing in Arista, but like more. Okay. I was going to working with. At that time, there was a whole bribery system in place trying to get the stores to promote records higher on the Billboard charts. So that's what we did. We tried to work the record store owners into promoting our records as high on the charts as possible. And a lot of the big labels would literally pay for it. We weren't doing that. But, we would say, oh, we try to set up the artist to come by and do an in-store signing, get them copies of things,
Connecting dots like that
Yeah,
in promotion.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
bet. So you also mentioned that you work for
Like I said, I took Young MC around New York at this big convention, so I'm, taking them to important
Jack the Ripper, or which conventions?
the new music seminar.
New Music Seminar. Okay, I've heard of that as well.
Yeah.
All right. From there, you mentioned that you work for Ice Cube and his
Yes.
company Street Knowledge.
Yes.
Why was that different from, or how was that different from Lynch Mob, or was this all the same thing?
Well, Lynch Mob, it was different. Lynch Mob was one of the artists that was on the label, and then I think after that he started Lynch Mob.
Records.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Because at that time, Street. No, wait, I'm messing it up.
Yeah, I feel like didn't he come out the gate with Lynch Mob Records pushing that during the beef with NWA, and then Street Knowledge was like later once he started doing Fridays.
Well, no. Street Knowledge was the name of the management and production company.
Okay.
But the label, I think, was never called Street Knowledge.
It was Lynch Mob.
It was Lynch Mob.
That's who we have to deal with Priority with.
When I was there, it was with East West.
East West, yeah, because
It
that's
was
what
with-
Yo-Yo's album say. East West.
I worked Yo-Yo, Cam, and Lynch Mob.
You knew Yo-Yo?
I took Yo-Yo to New York during that new music seminar. Then I took Young MC to, and boy, brothers in New York, we couldn't get 5 feet. They were
for
running
Yo-Yo?
up on Yo-Yo. I love Yo-Yo.
Key Lolo?
Yo-Yo is my homegirl to this day. Yo-Yo got a lot of love for me because at that time, everything was so new and fresh and this and that. You know what I mean? And then, they really needed somebody like me over there. You know what I mean? Like I was plugged in. Like I knew Bobbito and Stretch and Matty C and all those New York guys and stuff. So when we went out to the new music seminar, I can help hook that up or whatever. Plus, I was also calling taxis for Ice Cube because it was hard for him to get taxis. They held taxis because they didn't stop for black people in New York's fucked up, man. That's how it used to be.
So you was a taxi medium,
Yeah,
a liaison of sorts
right.
for Cube. And how long did you do that for Street Knowledge?
You know what's crazy? Like at that time, all my jobs lasted about a year, right? It was like what happened was, I'll just give you the real quick things. After Delicious, my friend started a label with Island, and it didn't last very long. And so then I didn't have a job, and that's when I really started my street promotion company, PMP.
Power Moves.
Right, Power Move Promotion. So I was doing that big, and when Cube's company needed somebody, I had been doing that, but it was like it's hard. It's hard to run a little business. I wasn't really good at running my own business like that. So they were like, hey, we're looking for somebody, and at that time I was already managing the Pharcyde, and so I went over there and said, yeah, I would love to work for you guys, but is it cool if I bring over the Pharcyde as a management client? And Cube was like, oh yeah, I like them, they're dope. They had just come out, right?
Okay.
So I was like, cool. So I started working for him. I worked for him for about a year, and that's when I met John Singleton. And so John Singleton was like, oh, you work for Cube, which was a plus, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he needed somebody to run his label and help him music supervise Poetic Justice. So just amazing timing. There also weren't a lot of people, like me in the business. I was really putting my foot forward and hustling, and I was plugged into everything going on.
No, you sound like an aggressive hustler. Like you're just trying to be in the mix. You want to be of service. That's what I'm getting from the story you're telling. Like you're not just there to stand around and
I was of the culture. So it was like if something was dope, I'm just gonna help because it's dope. Like I'm in the culture. I'm not just some vampire here to make money off of it. So that worked in my favor because the people that were of the culture always supported me and this and that. As it got more and more corporate and more business, that kind of became less of a thing that maybe helped me as much or whatever. But it is what it is. But certain people would still hire me for authenticity because that's what I do. That's
to the table.
Right. Like I stopped working with John after Poetic Justice because he was mad that I took Warren G to Def Jam. I did that whole deal. Yeah. But after a few years, he missed the authenticity and he came back and he hired me for Fast and Furious 2, and I did basically everything with him from on. I did Fast and Furious 2, I did Hustle and Flow, I worked on Snowfall, and Four Brothers, that's my thing. I'm part of the culture, and I was just like better at business than all my homies who were artists and DJs, and you know what I mean? But I was no Lyor Cohen, I was no like business shark, for better or for worse.
It wasn't just about like a flip or return of investment for you. You actually cared about the music, the culture, the artist.
That's what I love about guys like Punch and stuff and seeing the success of them. Like they're doing both. Because in
Big business, but also
in
care
my
about
era,
culture.
it was a lot of guys like that were exploiting the culture, they were making the money, and the people that were really about it, a lot of them didn't get to capitalize as they should have. The contributions they made. You're talking about people like Maddie C and stuff like that. But
Gotcha.
but a lot of us like we're probably living a higher quality life than a lot of those guys, so it's okay. I know I am in the Caribbean, so you can't tell me nothing.
Well, karma gonna get you regardless.
That part.
So real quick, and this isn't even a question I have prepped, but could you just give me a rundown of the ecosystem or the rap scene during the 90s, during this time period we're talking about on the West Coast? Like, who are the power players? Obviously, we know we got Suge Knight
Sure.
and Death Row, and then we know Cube has both Lynch Mob and Slash Street Knowledge. Who are some other power players in that mix? What's going on? Like, where's Priority coming to this? Where's like... Who else are power players?
Well, Priority was really smart. They were like a generic distribution company. They never had their own flavor, but they found artists that were successful and were able to distribute it. You know what I mean? And they had the infrastructure of a real record label, but they were not of the culture or anything like that. So they would take like Ruthless. I mean, there wasn't, you name most of them. It was like Ruthless. You know what I mean? And it was like and they were always like later, like Cypress came out with Soul Assassins, so they had their whole little wave and their little movement.
Okay.
But there wasn't that many. You know what I mean? Like, there was always like an underground rap scene, like the Pharcyde and the Freestyle Fellowship and those things.
Yep.
But it wasn't really like some coherent, like how on the East Coast they had like the Tribe and De La.
Native Tongues.
Native Tongues. That's the word I was looking
Absolutely.
for.
They made it more marketable. They were doing some underground, quote unquote underground, but they still made it marketable so that there was a tangible product that's happening too. Okay, so when you started PMP, you started doing street promotions. At the time, Steve Rifkind is, to my knowledge, like the first person to coin that term, or one of the first people to coin that term. But he's doing it on like a national level. You're like the main guy in Los Angeles doing it out here.
Yeah.
What are some of the roles of a street promoter?
Sure. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Steve, and I think he was definitely like the first person to do it on a national level. Coining the term, I don't know about that. But anyway, in Los Angeles, before me and before Steve, there was two guys. There was Scotty Spencer and there was Doug Young. And, Doug Young was plugged in with like the Rhodium Swap Meet and Dre and all that. And Scotty worked for Death Row later and all that stuff. But those guys were like OG street promoters. Because you got to understand, like, when I started doing street promotion, Steve hired me. This was like when he first started. And he would hire me to work Los Angeles for some of his accounts. Because he would get the account and then they would hire people all over. And that was groundbreaking and a big deal. I was just a little local guy, right? You know what I mean? But what my company did was we were like the first company that really started promoting areas outside of the hood. Like Doug and Scotty, who were just like the pioneers at it, they were in the swap meets. It was very segregated back then.
Okay.
Hip hop was just starting to be listened to, appreciated by white people, a lot of Latin people that lived outside of South Central. But the job of a street promoter was anything you could do to promote the record, man. You go to record stores where the records sell. You make sure they got them in copies, in person. Give them a copy for free to play in the store. When people come in, oh wow, what's that? Give them posters if you can. All the DJs, the club DJs, the party DJs, the college radio DJs, later the mix show DJs, anyone you can get in the hand of who's going to spend that 12-inch, you want to get it to. Any kind of little press, any kind of little back then there were no podcasts, but there might be like interview shows on college radio,
Okay.
These kind of things, what I mean? Might be some guy that had a little magazine Zine, we would call it, like a hip hop Zine, and he would do articles about it. It might be, school papers on whatever type of thing, but any kind of things that you could hook up, any kind of press, any kind of listening parties possibly, you might, putting up posters, getting someone to go put flyers on cars, standing out in front of the party, passing out flyers,
And what's the budget for these type of services? Like, what's the most, if you don't mind sharing, what's the most
you
can
don't
get for
want
an
to hear what
account?
Steve Rifkind paid me. No.
that was outsourced. What about when they come directly to you? Like a label like maybe when Columbia reached out for Cypress.
Right. And they did. They hired me directly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we got $1,200 a month. Also, I worked for Tommy Boy and I was on retainer. I think they paid me like $1,000 a month. So I worked.
That's love.
I think I worked everything that was on. So that was like Queen Latifah, Naughty by Nature, De La Soul. Like I had a great moment to be doing that for Tommy Boy because they were putting out great music, really important music for the culture.
And you was working with Miss Monica Lynch or
Yes.
working with Dante Ross or both?
Dante, I would work with later and meet him, I think, around that time. But I worked very closely with Monica.
Monica Lynch. Okay,
Yeah.
I believe she still works with Queen Latifah to this day. One of my favorite
Wonderful.
execs as well. All right, my last question about the street promotion is, how do these labels know to get in contact with you? Like, are you passing out business cards? Are you cold calling record labels? Like, how do they know to hire you to do the street promotions?
We're going to Jack the Rapper. We're going to these conventions. We're promoting what we do. They're seeing us maybe promote something else. Word of mouth. Word of mouth. A lot of word of mouth. I'm trying to remember. I mean, the Tommy Boy one was big because I was on retainer and I had all those big records. So, that gave me a lot of credibility with somebody like a Sony, who's just kind of getting into hip hop more seriously and wants somebody to help him break Cypress Hill or something like that, Okay. But it was at the same time when I was doing the street promotion, because, I wasn't great at running my own business. I had all these people hanging around and, but I also started the management at that time, and so that's
my next question.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
So it just led into the management. Artists just started coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I want you to manage me," because they knew I was in the business, and they just didn't see a lot of people that were like hustling like me, that were understood the culture, and they were also like understood something about the business or trying to, or you know what I mean.
So who was first, House of Pain or Pharcyde?
House of Pain. I had a client called Vicky Calhoun first. Actually, they got a demo deal. She used to sing like backgrounds for the Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff. And I got her a deal with Quincy Jones' label. It's what they called a demo deal, where they like played to do her demo. But she didn't really come out. But then House of Pain came to me and they said, "Hey, we want you to be your manager." And since I was already working for Tommy Boy as their street promoter on retainer, I knew the people over there, and I sent them the demo. And as soon as Cypress started to buzz, they jumped on it.
Okay, House of Pain.
And then I found the Pharcyde shortly after that at this convention called the Gavin Convention in San Francisco.
Okay, what impressed you about them?
They rapped for me in a room at like 3 a.m. We were all high. And,
I was going to ask, what impressed you about them, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, we were all faded, and they came in the room. Razkaz, the rapper, brought them in the room, and the guy whose room it was, he goes, "Hey, it's a rap group." And the guy whose room goes, "Oh, this guy gets people record deals," because I had gotten House of Pain a deal. Okay. And they got in a huddle. And they jumped on the bed, and they start performing, which included jumping on the bed and sofas and things like that. And they were doing Your Mama, and they're talking about your mama ate 30 burritos at Taco Bell, and your mama's got a glass eye with a fish in it. And we're just on the floor, they were just unique and different, and
off kilter shit.
Right away, I was like, this is something interesting and special and different. So yeah, but a lot of people slept on it. Like Passing Me By was on their demo, and a lot of labels passed on it.
Which labels passed on?
And House of Pain had Jump Around on the demo exactly like it sounds now, and a lot of labels passed on it, which is insane.
Okay, I need you to expose 2 sets of people. I need you to expose the people that passed on Jump Around by House of Pain and who passed on Pharcyde as a collective. What labels? Expose these people.
Well, Elektra, Motown. I mean, a bunch of labels. I mean, God bless my man Dan Charnas, who I love. He teaches at NYU. He's trying to help me get into teaching. He worked for Rick Rubin's label. He passed on House of Pain, Pharcyde, and Coolio demos.
Americana Records or Deaf American?
Deaf American, yeah. So, but he admits it. Most people try to make up stories and say, "Oh, the demo was different," or this, that, or whatever. And I mean, sleeping on Coolio's demo, I get it. I mean, we had County Line on there. We didn't have any of the hits or anything like that.
How do you hear Jump Around and say this is not going to be a hit?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. You got to be deaf,
All right, you already explained how you linked up with John Singleton, but let's talk about specifically your role as music supervisor for Poetic Justice.
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie.
Okay.
I know
We
it's a
can check it out when you
classic.
get a moment.
I know it's a classic. I've seen bits and pieces. I know who's in
Sure.
there: Janet Jackson, Regina King. I know about the scene when they
Joe
pull over.
Torre with the brush.
Yeah, Joe Torre. I know about the scene where they get into like a little domestic scuffle in the.
Right.
And while the truck is pulled over, the mail
The
truck.
post office truck.
Yeah. I know about the hair salon, stuff like that. I just never sat down and watched the entire movie from start to finish. Nonetheless, I know it's a bona fide classic, but what did you do specifically when it came to music supervision in that film?
Well, I had never music supervised anything before. So I was like, that the Emperor's New Clothes, I didn't know what I was doing, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was like faking it till you make it type of thing. But John knew what he was doing. God bless John, man. He used me as like more of an A&R than anything else. So it was just like, you've been finding hot records, go find hot records. But I did a lot of interesting stuff. Like for example, do you remember? Well, you wouldn't remember, but anyone who's seen Poetic Justice will remember there's 2 times in the movie where Tupac goes, "Oh yeah, this is my cousin. He's from the Bay. This is his music." Those were Coolio's unreleased demos. John liked Coolio, so he took those songs and put them in there. Some other funny stories. We met with Usher. He was like 10 or something. He was like 12. He was a baby, man. That was his first ever song released on the Poetic Justice soundtrack. Was Usher. Usher's song on that was his very first release ever. And I remember we met with L.A. Reid, and he was like telling us this guy's going to be like the next Michael Jackson or whatever. We met him at like the Four Seasons or something. One of those really bougie hotels. But
all this, or not to cut you off, all this work put into the soundtrack. You have to meet with executives and get things cleared and all of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll tell you the craziest part is like, okay, so this is before Snoop's album is released. Remember how I talked about Snoop's album was so anticipated?
It sold over 800,000 copies first week.
It was touted as the most anticipated rap album of all time before it came out, right?
Okay.
And so anyway, this is right then. So we met with Snoop and Suge and Dre. They came up to the studio, the Culver lot where our offices were in Culver City, and they watched a rough cut of the movie. You know what I mean? And so the idea was that they're going to give us a song, right? So they're so busy right then. You know what I mean? So I'm going to the studio and hanging out to like push the issue. So
Solar Studios, or what studio?
It was a few different studios, but I never went to the Solar Studios with them there, I don't think. But I definitely went to like some of the famous, Death Row Studios, somewhere in the Valley. One was over there off Sawtell in West LA. That one is a famous one too. But anyway, so some crazy thing happened was, so Dre, it took a while. And the thing was, in our meeting, John's like, I need a Snoop song. Of course, right? Snoop is hot as fish grease. John Singleton did Boys in the Hood. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't anybody. You know what I mean? So they're like, yeah. But Jimmy Iovine wasn't having that. There had been all kind of Snoop stuff that come in, like no more Snoop records until the album. The most anticipated
like that, but it makes sense.
Right, but yeah, no, I feel you. So anyway, but they didn't ever come out and even say that. To be honest, that's just like easy. You could figure that out. My grandma could figure that out if you really know anything about the industry, right?
So that's why Snoop Dogg's not on the Poetic Justice.
Well, he is. We ended up getting a Dog Pound song featuring Snoop.
Oh, okay.
So it was like the Dog Pound was, Dog Pound was still an up and coming group. Yeah. So it was kind of good for them to promote them. And, we'll give you this, we'll give you... So it was like, N-Words Don't Give a Fuck. That song, whatever, is on the... It's one of the best songs on the soundtrack. Okay. But what's crazy is... Probably the best. But what's crazy is Dre had done the song, delivered it to us, and it was a Bobby Womack sample, and he wouldn't clear the sample.
Bobby Womack wouldn't clear the sample.
Right. Because it was all kind of N-words and swearing. And,
he's on the Dionne Ward tip. I got you.
So then I had to go back to the studio and be like, and really honestly, he didn't want to do it. I think creatively, he was like, that's what I liked. This is Dr. Dre. This ain't nobody. You know what I mean? Like when he makes something, puts his stamp on it and put it out and okay, I'm good with it. And he couldn't clear the sample. He was just bitter on the whole thing. So it took a really long time. And finally he delivered it the last second. But there's a couple stories about that. But one of the things that was such a blessing about it was, so I'm spending all that time, so I'm getting to meet Snoop. I'm getting to know Snoop really well, right? Okay. And then there's this other guy in the studio, yo, cuz I got my own shit. That's Warren G. So while I'm sitting around trying to get Dre to do this new version of the song or hanging out, and like, I'm not, I would bug him every once in a while, but it's not, it's not exactly like I'm John's guy, so I have a little bit of cachet, but, I'm smart enough to know when to, know your, not overstep your boundaries,
Oh, wear out your welcome. I got you.
I'm at Death Row Studios. They're letting me hang out. I'm John's dude. So anyway, Warren comes up to me. I got my own stuff, cuz we go out to my Ford Explorer, and he puts the tape in, and it's Indo
Small.
And the kind of funny part of the story is it plays just the beginning, the first hook, and the verse or whatever. The hook comes back in, and I just ejected it. I already knew I loved it. But he's looking at me crazy because my system was kind of bumping to it. And he wanted to hear it. Motherfuckers want to hear their stuff,
Yeah.
But why'd you eject it? I go, oh, yeah, man, we got to use this so kind of keep the tape or whatever. And he was like, yeah, you can keep the tape. So he didn't believe me. But then I called him the next day with John or whatever. John loved the song. So then so that's how I met Warren. So we started managing Warren as a producer. And that's how, and I was involved in other songs, like bringing other songs that came in on the soundtrack, but that was like my most proactive stuff.
So the Poetic Justice soundtrack led to you signing Warren G.
Yeah, led to me meeting Warren G and then sending him to Def Jam where they signed him. Yeah.
Okay, so before I even asked about Warren getting to Def Jam and eventually saving it, I want to ask you, why do you think that Warren's brother, half brother, step brother, what have you, Dr. Dre wasn't looking out for Warren? Why wasn't Warren signed to Death Row? Why, when it was time to go do that tour after the Chronic came out, Warren didn't have a ticket? We hear that story. I've always wanted.
You've seen that doc, right?
Yeah, I want to know. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't think he believed in Warren like that.
He thought his brother was whack?
I think he thought his brother was good at finding samples.
That was his role on the original Chronic album.
Right.
So he thought that's all his brother was good for, like a beat paralegal or something? Like
it seemed like Warren had to prove himself on his own to Dre.
But
from everything that you see, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But your non-brothers didn't have to go out and sell millions of records and get Grammy nominated to prove that they were dope. You just mess with them off the script. I just don't.
But I think that Dr. Dre was very particular about who he worked with. Oh, this guy Sam Snead's got this voice. He's from New York. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Snoop. I think for whatever reason, he either didn't have the vision for Warren or didn't want to work with him like that. But obviously, like he made Warren get it on his own. You know what I mean? And it didn't seem like Suge really appreciated what's going on over there. Also, you gotta understand too, at that time, there's 2 and 3 songs and stuff that I remember I heard some of the Nate Dogg demos and some of the 2 and 3 demos, because we almost signed Nate Dogg at New Deal at John's label before he signed to Death Row. But there weren't a lot of records with like Warren rapping on them or anything like that. So, like I said, we looked at him as a producer. He had produced Breed and he had produced Pac. He produced the Pac song that we put on the Poetic Justice soundtrack. So he had those couple production credits, so it was like, oh, we're going to manage him as a producer. And then all of a sudden, Def Jam was like, who's this guy rapping in the third verse? And I was like, oh, that's Warren G, Dr. Dre's brother, Snoop Dogg's DJ. And then Def Jam had a hard on to sign him because they had missed all that West Coast stuff. And they were smart enough to realize the marketability of Warren when all of us were just looking right past it.
So when you say Def Jam, could you put a name on it? Because
Chris
I'm here.
Lighty.
Chris Lighty. Rest in peace. That's what I've written down.
Lighty.
Rest in peace, Chris Lighty.
R.I.P. Chris Lighty.
Violator Management.
Yeah. Kind of funny story though. Chris Lighty was my homie. I loved that native tongue shit, and he was like, I met him with the Jungle Brothers. So we had remained friends. And when we put out the Indo Smoke video, I sent like 25 copies to like VIPs. So like Matty C would get one. People from the Source would get one. And I sent one to Chris Lighty. And then he calls me and go, hey, who's the guy in the third verse or whatever? And I go, oh, that's Warren G or whatever. And he's like, really? And is he signed? And I go, no. And we just managed him as a producer, right? So the next thing I know, Russell called me. And Russell didn't fuck with me. And I actually hung up on him because I thought it was one of my friends playing because he's got that heavy ass lisp. It's like, Paul, this is Russell. And I was like, look, I got a real job now. Stop fucking with me. And I hung up on him. And he called back, Paul, this is really Russell. I was like, oh, fuck. I just hung up on Russell Simmons.
Why did you say Russell didn't fuck with you before that, though?
Well, he passed on the Pharcyde. He said there was some artsy shit. And, he had never called me before. I had met him. He knew who I was, but he had never called me. So I didn't, why is Russell Simmons calling me out of the blue? Seems more like my homeboy's playing a joke.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn.
Luckily, he called back.
So
they called back, and then the story this is a really crazy story too. So, okay, I'm working for John. I tell John, Def Jam wants to sign Warren. They're talking about 6 figures and stuff, and John was like, well, I think we should sign a new deal. And I love John. I mean, John did more for my career than anybody. But this is like after they say they want to sign him, now you want to sign him. And our deals were set in place at like $30,000 and $40,000 deals. Okay. So it's like, you can't do that to the client. You can't make him sign a $40,000 deal when there's a $100,000 deal on the table. That ain't gonna work. You know what I mean?
A 6-figure deal on the table for Warren G.
Yes, and before 6-figure deals were really a thing for rap artists,
All of one verse on the Indo Smoke record?
Yeah, because they had missed out on, Death Row was killing them. They were putting out bricks right there. They were putting out the Black Flames or what. They had bricks coming out, and the West Coast was just crushing them. And they had missed that whole thing. And their West Coast groups, God bless, the South Central Cartel, and there was like 3 groups they signed out here, but none of them
worked.
Right. So they lost their mind to get him. And then when they saw me and I was attached, and Lyor was like, oh wow, this young white guy's like the great white hope. Like, like he thought I was gonna be like him or something, you know what I mean? Like jerking him up or whatever. But anyway, so I digress. But So anyway, I tell John, he's like, I think we should sign to them. Def Jam's on my neck. I'm talking to my lawyer. I'm like, what do I tell Def Jam? Tell him you want your own label. They're not going to give me my own label. Only group I really was known for was Pharcyde. And they weren't even that big because most people didn't know about House of Pain. Coolio hadn't even come out yet. He goes, tell me you want a label. So I said, well, I want a label. They said, all right, well, come and meet with us. So I called in sick on a Friday. They flew me out there. Somebody told John. When I came back on a Monday, he had me escorted off the lot.
John Singleton had you escorted off the lot because you betrayed him by going to take Warren G to Def Jam in exchange for like your own imprint.
It was a meeting. Nothing was agreed to. It was to discuss business for our management client. We had to do that. That was like, you can't be a manager and then tell your client, hey, you have to take this deal for more than half less of what's being offered to you.
That's a conflict of interest because you have them in the management deal. Now you're supposed to sign them to a production deal.
Huge conflict of interest.
That's a conflict of interest.
Huge conflict.
Not saying people haven't done it. But
right, of course. But the music was like a trophy thing to John. So anyway, John was pissed off at me. He had me escorted out of the loft. But to show you how unwrong I was, we just started seeing each other out more and more, and his bitterness faded quickly. And then we were just like, man, we almost signed Nate Dogg. We had Warren. This is before Coolio even came out. We had Coolio. We were just like reminiscing. I met Montell Jordan through John. You know what I mean? It was like we had all that shit. I was like, so he got cool with me again, and then he hired me to do Fast and Furious 2, and then we were together until he passed.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right, so is the story of Lyor Cohen flying out to LA and going to Long Beach to see Warren G and there being roaches in the house, is that true or is that folklore?
Who was in the house?
Roaches.
Oh.
That's the story Lyor Cohen tells of how he discovered Warren G. He excludes you from the story often. And he says he heard about this artist do a demo tape, flew to LA, went to his house in Long Beach. There was roaches on the wall. He's like, I'm going to get you out of here. That's the story he tells. Is that a false narrative?
Super. I mean, super false. I mean, thank God, like that guy Dan Charles I was talking about, he wrote in that there's a big Def Jam book. Mm-hmm. It lays out kind of how I, brought Warren over. And I'm listed as an EP. Me and Chris Lighty were listed on the record as an EP or whatever.
Oh, Regulate? The G-Funk era?
Right, that album.
Okay.
Right. That saved Def Jam. But yeah, they tried to write me out of some of the history, and Lyor, that sounds like some bullshit Lyor would say. But I mean, the thing is, what could have easily happened, like this is how you can manipulate stories, right? Later when people don't know what goes on, is when I met Warren, he had tape on his glasses and he could leave his car running when nobody's stealing that bucket. So, before like the money got cut and the checks and things closed, Lyor could have came out and gone to a house in Long Beach and seen some roaches. Okay. Certainly possible.
It's possible.
But it has nothing to do with him getting discovered and found by Def Jam or anything like that, you know. All props to Chris Lighty, if anybody, you know, and then Russell, you know, like I said, called me, and so, you know. And then we came out there and they closed the deal for me, and then once they closed the deal with Warren, like, you know, they trying to just get really close to him, so they didn't even, at some point when they're going to X me out the picture, it's not a problem. But, you know, everybody was excited to meet Russell Simmons.
Of course.
You know, then you go to his house and it's like LL Cool J stops by and Jamie Foxx stops, you know what I mean? And Chris Rock is hanging out, you know, so I mean, it was very fabulous. Especially for us LA guys, you know what I mean? Because it was like all the New York people that we didn't know, or that we never got to meet, you know?
Gotcha. So Lyor Cohen's been branded as one of the greatest culture vultures in history, thanks to Dame Dash. From your experience, would you consider him a culture vulture? If so, why?
You know what's funny is when Dame Dash was working on that book, I have a book publishing company. It's not that active at the moment, but I was supposed to help him publish it, and he was such a nightmare to work with. I had to step away.
I bet.
I had to leave. I had ran out. You know, it's a little complicated because Lyor was Run DMC's road manager.
Correct.
Like, he was there. You know what I mean? So in some regards, you gotta say, yeah, I feel like, and also too, like, him and Russell were great at playing good cop, bad cop. So, and they were in complete contact all the time. So some people want to blame Lyor, but let Russell get a pass. But it's like,
Russell could have been the one saying no.
No, they were in cahoots on everything. You know what I mean? So, I mean, after Def Jam, when it wasn't Russell and the kind of 360 and all that stuff came about, you know what I mean? And the YouTube and everything like that, you know, that's more of just him on his own and everything like that, you know. But I don't know. I mean, I learned a lot from working with him because he's a beast, you know, just a savage, you know, as far as business, like relentless, you know what I mean? He'll do whatever to try to get what he wants, you know. So, you know, and very smart, knew a lot about business and that and everything, you know. I don't, so I have very conflicted feelings because they did me dirty, you know what I mean? So,
we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. I'm actually hoping Lyor want to come and give me, you know, put some money in my pocket now, so I don't want to talk too bad about it. Maybe he want to do something nice for me and make it all right.
That would be the first time I heard him doing that. So being that it's been said that Warren G saved Def Jam from bankruptcy with Regulate G-Funk era, I believe so close to like 5 million records if you include the singles. Do you feel he should be at least compensated more? If not, at least have the opportunity to get his masters like he's been asking for years?
Definitely. I mean, music industry overall is a horrible system. It's set up. It's against the artist. It's made complicated where it doesn't need to be. And yeah, these like ownerships of people's masters and stuff typically. But you know, at the same time, you know, I believe that everything like that, especially with his case, because like they made so much more. Like if they had gone out of business, then there's millions and hundreds of millions that they don't get, right?
No Jay-Z, no DMX.
Oh man, come on! So just throw him a bone, you know, and me, throw us both bones. But you know, I do believe too that like if you do sign a contract and you know, to some extent, like you know, you gotta live with that. You know what I mean? It's like, it is what it is. Like, you know, we're seeing that right now with Pooh Shiesty in real time. You know, it's like, I mean, and it's like, that's certainly not the way to try to get out of it. That's for sure. But, you know, I mean, I think that, you know, people should try to know what they're getting into a little bit better when they sign stuff. But sometimes it's okay to sign a bad deal as long as it's not going to lock you down forever, or it's not going to like, you know what I mean, or whatever. If it's like for some of your material, but then your new stuff going forward. Like I heard you saying on the show the other day, like it's cool for a major label. Like you were talking to Rafi the Plug, right? Like if a major label comes to him now and says, okay, we'll give you X amount and we want this percentage of the new stuff, cool. But why are you eating off my old catalog? Like that's lame, you know?
I agree. I feel the same way about like Dom, when Dom Kenny would always be like, oh, I'm not signing. It's like, when you own the master to all your classic material already, you need to give them the more modest work moving forward. In
Well,
exchange
I
for
do. I do believe that people should be flexible, and they shouldn't look at things so like. Sometimes people, oh, I gotta own everything. Well, that's not always the way. Like sometimes you make a lot more money if you just have a percentage of something as opposed to like, you know what I mean?
100% of a very little thing. You know?
Right, and just need to be flexible about how you do business and open to like different things, and kind of I feel like closed-minded attitudes just don't really serve people well.
How did you guys react when Regulate got nominated for a Grammy?
It was all a whirlwind, man. We were all on our own D. We thought we were great. I mean, they made Gangsters Paradise in my living room. Right after that, Regulate happened. Yeah. I mean, it was all just,
one Grammy win and another Grammy nomination.
Yeah.
All in like the same year.
Right. So it was all happening at once. It was just a whirlwind, of stuff.
Where were you when Russell Simmons offered you the official title and job, president of Def Jam West? Like when you got a call?
I think Lyor offered it to me actually, it kind of came through like I said, it kind of came through the lawyers. Like it was like, okay, I said I want my own label. They said okay, cool. So as part of the offer, it was like, okay, you're VP of Def Jam West. There was no Def Jam West office. It was like a label that was on records, but they didn't have any kind of office.
Dan, that was my next question. Where was the office? That's my next question.
Well, that's quite a story because, okay, so Lyor came out to LA and we're shopping and looking around at offices. Oh man, that was so fantasy. I think we're going to get this great office and everything. And then it's like, right at the time I came to Def Jam, they were moving from Sony
to Polygram.
Exactly,
yeah.
Which would later become Universal, right?
Yeah.
But they were in between the move. Sony was squeezing them, wasn't sending money yet. And Polygram, this is one of the reasons that my deal went bad with Def Jam. And they weren't getting the new money yet. So they were like just hustling, you know what I mean? And they weren't really sharing information like that with somebody like me either, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we're looking at all these offices and stuff, but the deal ain't closing in time or whatever. So it's like, okay, I just got these temporary offices. They were on 3rd and La Cienega above like Ross. There was a Ross there at that time. And we had like 4 little temporary offices. And Def Jam West was there until it moved to like Sunset and Doheny. It was like in the Island Records thing. But by that time I was basically out. I had already left.
So how long were you at the location on 3rd and
probably like 9 months, probably maybe like a year.
So give me a rundown of a day-to-day at Def Jam West while it was Def Jam West. You wake up, you go to the office, what's going on?
Oh man, just like listening to people's demos, taking calls from management clients and artists, watching like reels of directors. I picked like really big directors early on in their career, so we're like trying to plan out videos, really into that, maybe previewing some design for an album cover or something like that, you know what I mean? Definitely like blunt breaks for lunch, breakfast and dinner, It was always a good time. My office was like, people just hung out there. That office was cool, but later I moved to Beverly, La Cienega when I had my deal with Loud, and there I had a whole rooftop where you could just chill and smoke and a view of the whole city, and that's when like people really hung at my office so people would just come from, labels that artists and producers didn't have anything to do with what we were doing, but because my company was so of the culture as being the street promotion company and we knew everybody, people would just hang out there. Like,
hang out, y'all.
Jay Brown used to just hang out in my office, man. The president of Rock Nation. He used to hang tough, But there were people like I said, we were real close always to Cypress Hill, so Muggs and all those guys were around. I mean, people would come from New York, like special ed, whatever. Like, people would just come by. The Loud, we were connected to Loud, so, there was all their groups and Wu-Tang and Alcoholics, and we were real close to the Alcoholics, That was like family for us, So, filmmakers, actors, people would just fall through,
Okay, so while you're at Def Jam West, Montell Jordan.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. All
right, you signed Montell Jordan. Did he already have the record done, or was there another demo, or did he come to you with that record?
Yeah, that story's a little from how I met him because I was still at John's. I was still at John's label, New Deal, and John was like, "Hey, you gotta listen to this guy. He's like in the fraternity brother. He was a fraternity brother of John, and one of John's friends from the fraternity was like, "Hey, you gotta listen to this guy. He's a Kappa or whatever, right?" So John was like, yeah, that's what I got Paul for, you know. So I set up a meeting with Montell Jordan. He came by, and he didn't have any of the songs people know, but he played me some demos, and it was like he had these like fake Dre kind of beats, you know, and he was like a tall, good-looking dude singing about like Crenshaw and shit like that, and I was like, oh, this could really work, you know. Okay. And then I left to Def Jam. And I didn't want to mess with him because I met him through John. I already felt bad enough about what happened, right?
That's two conflicts. Yeah.
Right. And then he's hitting me up and he's like, John's not even calling me back. And I was like, yeah, John don't give a fuck about the music. So I was like, all right. And then I took him out to New York. Famous story, he sings for Russell and Andre Harrell and Russell's Range Rover. And they think he's dope, and they sign him. And then while he was working on the album, it was actually Montell's idea to use the Slick Rick song. And he just had his homeboy, this producer, this R&B guy named OG Pierce, great guy, R.I.P. OG, who hooked it up. Then I have my man Wino, who produced most of Coolio stuff, do kind of like a more hip hop because it didn't have the right bottom on it. You know what I mean? Okay. And then that's the record. And it was all going crazy right at that same time. You know, like you said, Regulate.
Gangsters Paradise.
Gangsters Paradise had not come out yet.
Oh, okay.
So what happens is, but it's ironic, it's the singer of Gangsters Paradise, LV, that I'm managing that creates a conflict between Def Jam and me. In my contract, I was allowed to manage artists. I was managing all those artists, but you know, they had like any unsigned artists, I had to play the demo for them first. Oh, like and there was this dispute if I had played LV for them first, even though LV was part of South Central Cartel, not signed, but part of the crew, Posse, which was their group.
Totally. You're answering my next question, which is how did things go left with Chus, Russell, Lyor, and Def Jam? So you're telling me that because you managed an artist named
LV, the guy who sang on Gangsters Paradise.
Okay, the person who sang the hook on that song, that's what led to you parting ways with Def Jam?
Yeah. Also, remember, like I said, they didn't have any money because Sony wasn't paying them, so they weren't paying for like studio sessions, producers. We were still in that temporary office.
Invoices not getting filled.
Yeah, shit was getting funky. They were paying my salary and everything. You know what I mean? But I was, and Def Jam had a reputation of never paying anybody at that time. You gotta understand, they had a really bad reputation. No, none of the Chris Lighty, Irv Gotti success stories had happened yet. You know what I mean? Chris was there, but you know, we don't know how much money he made with them. We certainly didn't know at that time. You know what I mean? But so they had a really bad reputation. So I was just thinking, and I was getting bad advice too, probably from like legal advice and things like that. And so I was just getting upset with them. And then with LV, they got real dirty. They tried to go around my back and get him to sign with them, knowing he was my client. So I signed him to Tommy Boy. Because there was like a bidding war. They both wanted him. And the day as soon as they found I signed a Tommy Boy, this is some cold shit right here. Check this out. They fired me. They sent a letter to every record label and publisher in the industry saying, if you hire Paul Stewart, we'll sue you because he's employed by us. And then they dropped a lawsuit against me. Like one day, all in like the same day. So, as I remember, it was on the same day. It could have been a course.
Lyor Cohen was being Lyor Cohen. That's crazy.
Russell was screaming on the phone at me. You know, both of them. But Lyor
because you took this hook singer that most people don't even know about now to Tommy Boy, but something that's petty.
Well, you know what was crazy was, I don't know if you remember the box or if it was before your time.
That's before my time.
There was the Video Jukebox Network, and LV at that time, this is so ironic how related it was to Def Jam there was. That group, South Central Cartel, when Def Jam found them, they were signed as a company, I believe they were called Relativity. Relativity. No, not Relativity. Start with an R. I'm messing it up. It was a famous gangster dude's label, like a mafia gangster dude or whatever. And anyway, Lighter Shade of Brown was signed to that label, whatever label they were on. But anyway, he had that South Central Cartel group signed. So when Def Jam wanted him, they gave him some money, and he said, I can put out 2 albums as Havoc and Prodigy, which were the guys' names. So ironic. Same name as Mobb Deep, right? Right. So he's putting out a Havoc and Prodigy solo record. LV singing the hook, and one of those songs is blowing up on the box.
Oh, so that's regionally. Why
yeah.
They're buying him because he had some attention on the box? That is crazy.
And just that kind of gangsters, Montell had already happened. And so that kind of like you're singing, but it's hip hop, you know, out there, Mary and Jodeci had already exploded. So I think it was that too, you know. And dude was dope. I mean, obviously look what he did with Gangsters Paradise, but you know.
Dang, that's cool. Yeah, technically sung on a Grammy-winning record. All right, looking back, is there anything you would have did differently? Would you have not took LV to Tommy Boy?
I definitely wouldn't have done that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have done it all different. Yeah. many things different.
Respect.
I would have took some pictures with Tupac. I would have tried to find some video cameras. I mean, things like that. No, there's so many things I would have done different. But hindsight, man. What can you do? And I was a kid too. You gotta understand. I was just a hip hop fan, a kid. I wasn't really built for that. I was no Lyor Cohen. God bless him, respect him for being the businessman that he is. But
they said Roulette Records. Was that it?
No, but that's a really famous gangster label run by a famous gangster guy. Lighter Shade of Brown was on it.
What's your take on the modern state of Def Jam Records today?
There is no state. I mean, it's just a corporate name. It's a brand. It's
a sticker, a logo.
Right.
I agree. All right, bet. So let's talk about Coolio, because you're saying that.
Let's go.
May he rest in peace.
R.I.P.
What was the decision to sign him? Like, what was the factor that was like, okay, he has it. Let's sign him.
Okay, so I'm working at Street Knowledge. I'm in the 60s in the dungeon, the basement room, and Coolio comes up there with WC. WC's Cube's hype man. Coolio's Dub's hype man. And he sees this white guy down there, and he just goes, "You're gonna be my manager." And I go, "Okay." And then he gives me his demo, and I really like that song, "County Line." I mean, the Wino, my friend to this day, the guy who produced it and produced Fantastic Voyage and a lot of Coolio stuff. He didn't do Gangsters Paradise, but just a funk riff, a Bar-K sample, just some hit and run, just oof. So I really liked that song, and it was funny too. I had already done the Pharcyde, so that was kind of my thing. Like, he's talking about standing in the line for getting assistance, with people recognizing him from the Mad Circle, and clowning him for that. So it's like a really relatable kind of like, because at that moment it was just the braggadocious and I got a million. It was getting played out, you know what I mean? So something like She's Passing Me By, the Pharcyde, was fresh. Yeah, it was just like a new take. No one was doing that. Everybody was just bragging about shit they didn't really have. So, it resonated with me. The humor, they had like a Richard Pryor sample in there before we had to take it out, where she's talking about, it's some famous thing where it's like he's talking to a social worker, So it was hood, and it was raw. That demo was really raw, And it's funny because I didn't have the vision for Coolio being some kind of pop artist or anything like that. I just liked that song, and God bless Tommy Boy, man, because dude was already in his 40s or late 30s, or he was old for a rapper. You know what I mean?
Who?
Coolio, when he got his deal.
Coolio was in his late 30s?
He was in his 30s for sure. Probably upper 30s, yeah. And, it's crazy because, like I was telling you the story. So I met him at Street Knowledge, and he gives me the address, tells me to pick him up for this meeting. And I go to pick him up, and it's in front. He lived in Nickerson Gardens at that time.
Damn.
And I had never seen anything like Nickerson Gardens, so that blew my mind. I was just like, and when he came out, I was like, Coolio, what are you trying to do? Get me robbed? And he goes, "Oh, everybody knew you were undercover cop. They knew you were one time." I just thought that was hilarious, classic Coolio, But yeah, he was living with one of his baby mamas. He had like 6 kids already, living in Nickerson Gardens, a couple failed rap groups. You know what I'm saying? Like, ex-crack smoker. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't...
Rest in peace. That's crazy. I was going to ask you your craziest Coolio story, but just pulling up to the Nickerson Gardens and people think you're a cop, I feel like that is one of them at least.
It's probably my best Coolio story, to be honest. Because my interactions with Coolio really weren't that crazy, man. It was a lot of smoking weed and just like hanging out, but, funny. It was hilarious. But I never witnessed any drug use. He didn't do that around me, you know what I mean? And I didn't really tour with them, though I did go on some of the Gangsters Paradise tour in Europe a little bit just to, check it out or whatever. You know what I mean? But Coolio was the best client I ever had, man. I managed him for 5 years, Yeah, I mean, from Nickerson Gardens to after he won the Grammy for, Gangsters
Paradise,
Yeah, he fired me too early. He told me before he passed, he said that was the worst decision he ever made.
Why did he fire you?
Oh, he hired his wife. You know, this is what happened with all these guys. They hire their relative, they pay them half. You know, this is what happened to me on, you know, with Warren. With, you know, this happened, you know, many times. You know.
Oh, Warren fired you as well as a manager.
Yeah, he said it was a conflict. I was working at Def Jam then, and he got his uncle to work with him cheaper. So you know, it's all love, man. I don't, you know, the thing about artists firing me as a manager, I don't really hold them in contempt because the artists got it bad, man. They can't quit. They can't fire their label, so they do what they can do. They fire. They're frustrated that their deal sucks and they're not making any money, so they find somebody to blame. And they fire the people that really help them get put on. But you know, it's a vicious cycle. Is what it is.
Hurt people. So
Exactly.
post Def Jam split.
Yeah.
You're you got a tenure at Virgin Records, and
Yeah.
you also got a deal at Loud Records to have like your own label.
Right.
So how did those two deals come about? Well, situations come about.
Right. Well, when I was at Loud, what happened was nobody wanted to give me a deal after Def Jam because, like, Def Jam said they would sue everybody. And,
Blackballed you.
right. Yeah. And, you know, and I was hot, but I wasn't that hot. You know what I mean? And so then what happened was Coolio made Gangsters Paradise. I had moved my whole office to my house. And my roommate was Doug Rashid, a producer. And so, who I met on the Sony lot when I was working for John, he was parking cars, you know, and he gave me a beat tape, you know, and I listened to it. So anyway, we're at the house, all these people, and then, you know, the producer had the beat, and Coolio stopped by one day to pick up a check. He heard the beat and literally just banged it out like that afternoon. The took was already on it at my house, in my like living room. The studio was like a quarter the size of this room.
Damn.
If that, it was tiny. It was a tiny little room. And so we could all hear it, you know, and then we liked it, and then I sent it to the label, and they're like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. We're not really that hyped on it. They hadn't opened up his new budget yet, and so we were still negotiating with them. I said, well, how about if I send just some soundtracks? They're like, oh, that's a great idea. We'd love to have a song on him on a soundtrack right now to keep his, you know, a relevancy going. This is in between, you know, first album, second album. And I only knew 2 music supervisors. This is the crazy part. One was doing Bad Boys and one was doing Dangerous Minds. And they both wanted to use it. And you would think we would have gone with Bad Boys. It would have probably, you know, would make a lot of sense. It was definitely a more culturally relevant movie, a better movie. But I knew that woman at MCA was going to help us do more business. She was so on it. And she did. She helped us get a big fat deal for Coolio's singing gangster group of Crips called Gangsters and Thugs. I think we got like a $300,000 deal.
Through MCA?
Yeah.
Which is like Universal.
Exactly. It became Universal, right. And so, and then she really put her, I don't think Gangsters Paradise would have happened as a song without her because MTV wouldn't have the video. And so what she did was she made all these commercials that were a minute of the video, and then it ended just said from the movie Dangerous Minds, and flooded MTV with those commercials, and then people started calling and requesting, and then it just took off.
Okay, man. Like I said, shout out to Coolio. Rest in
Shout out to
peace.
Coolio.
So how did Steve Rifkind end up giving you a deal at Loud?
Right, so that's what happened. So Gangsters Paradise blew up, and then all of a sudden people wanted to give me a deal. Then all of a sudden they were like, oh, this Def Jam thing looks kind of weak. So I had a bidding war again to give PMP its new deal after Def Jam. And Loud stepped up. There were a bunch of people. Rick Rubin wanted to give me a deal, and he was going to give me way less money, but man, he was talking about keeping the overhead low. In retrospect, like, you know, there were several companies that wanted to give me deals, but Def Jam was through RCA, which was through BMG, and it was like the full might of RCA. We had this one meeting. I've never been in a meeting like this. There was like 12 lawyers from their side. I had like my lawyer, I hired some rich old consultant guy from New York because you're doing a big deal. You got to have the rich white consultant guy, you know, who knows these fuckers, you know. So I'm in this big room and we closed the deal. It was a huge deal, you know. And then I kind of dried up on hits. I mean, I put out Delinquent Habits through that label, which was, you know, we had a gold single and you know, was relevant, but I didn't have a lot of hits. So,
but you were able to walk away from Def Jam through litigation or through, like, contractually walk away from Def Jam. Like, they didn't end up suing anybody that you work with moving forward, like they threatened to.
Correct, but I had to settle the lawsuit and give up all my Montell Jordan royalties. I spent like $300,000 in lawyer fees, so that's what I want back, Lyor. That's what I'm looking for.
Make
like
it right,
three big racks. Right.
Yeah, well, you can't get it from Russell because he's going to have to cash app you because he's over there in Bali. But yeah, Leo.
I take cash app.
Oh, you take
I'll go to Bali with a bag. Come on, man. I don't care.
Oh, my God. All right, so how did the A&R position at Virgin Records happen?
Rick Rubin plugged me in.
Okay.
He knew the owners. Rick Rubin been a fan of mine. Like I said, he was trying to give me that record label before. He saw me as kind of like another version of him. He brought all this music to Def Jam and kind of got screwed, and then he left, did his own thing, and he saw me bringing all this music over there, and he liked me, so that's how it happened. That was real corporate, man. There was a few cool things I was trying to sign that ended up being kind of relevant, but not really. It was like, that's right before like Napster was starting to happen and everything. The industry was really changing, And I was like, too, like I had made a lot of money and I was living large and I was kind of getting out of touch. Like I was going through my like, I'm hanging out in Beverly Hills, I'm not in the hood anymore phase.
So they should be honest about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you also had a stint as entertainment marketing manager or something to that effect at Puma?
Yeah.
What were some of your responsibilities there?
Well, like, I was getting people to wear the clothes in music videos. Like Mickey Fax had just wore our shoes on like the XXL cover.
Yep.
I brought Rihanna up there. They didn't do the deal. This was years before. And then later they did the deal, So I was bringing artists through to possibly do brand deals. I was throwing parties at South by Southwest.
Okay.
I was helping them. They had a deal with Lady Gaga. They were having problems, but I was good friends with their manager. So I helped on things like
Vince
that.
Herbert?
Vince Herbert was partners with Troy Carter.
Oh, Troy
right.
Carter.
So
yeah,
it was
okay.
Troy. Yeah. Basically it was like just trying to get Pumas worn by the right people, seen wherever we could be seen. You know what I mean? I had I passed a lot of people got free shoes. A lot of anybody that knew me at that time was lucky because they weren't paying me enough and they, like I brought Rihanna and they couldn't close the deal. I'm just disgusted. I'm just like,
That's a bad look for you.
I'm just sending shoes.
Yeah, so product
people.
placement. Got
Yeah.
you. I skipped over this question earlier. I forgot to. Because Warren G and technically Montell Jordan, West Coast artists, saved Def Jam when they were on the verge of bankruptcy or whatnot, do you feel like that brand, that label owes the West Coast some more support? Like, when's the last time Def Jam has put out a viable West Coast artist?
Yeah, I do, but I also feel like whoever's running whatever they call Def Jam right now doesn't really have any connection or correlation to that. It's just a corporate entity, so.
But the CEO of Def Jam is from the West Coast. Tunji is from the Bay.
Oh, and I fuck with Tunji.
Yeah, Tunji's from the Bay.
That's my dude. He's a good guy, man. And he's got great taste in music. And I don't know. To be honest, no, I put the more responsibility on the artist.
Okay.
Like, who of those 40 artists should Def Jam sign on your report card?
Which artist?
Let's say Tunji gave you an A&R job.
Uh-huh.
Who are you bringing up there from them 40?
From the 40, I'm bringing in Mark Lux.
Okay.
I'm definitely
I did
bringing
like
in
that
Mark Lux.
single. I was surprised you gave him such low ratings in it because.
Well, he only has one body of work. Not consistent enough. But I would change that if I was his A&R.
Right.
Yeah, that's his own. Open Gates, which is a dope project, is his only body of work. And he's been out for some years. So I would definitely bring in Mark Lux. Empire's gonna hate me, but I'll be talking Big Sad away from Empire into the Def Jam building because that'll be my job, like you said, technically. Artist from Inglewood named Roy, hella potential.
Okay.
Just need a machine behind him. There's some artists.
Yeah.
There's some artists.
Yeah. No, I thought that it was interesting because I went through all the artists and the Mike Lux one. That was the only song I listened to everybody's most recent single.
Okay.
That was the only one I downloaded because I was like, I might play this DJing. And it was of everybody. And I was like, and I was also like, just it's interesting and different. Like that's what, the creativity and the can't everybody be, and I don't know if he's gangbanging on music or not, but can't everybody be gangbanging?
No, he doesn't. Mark Lux doesn't.
That shit is tired, man. That shit is, whew. I just read this article today talking about how LA stuck in the 90s. It was a guy from Chicago, but I feel him.
That's how they feel about us.
They're not wrong.
Yeah,
people. Look, and he was talking about how LA has access to all the, the influencers are here, the entertainment industry, all that stuff. And then we over listen to some dust, and our artists are these dusty ass stuck in the night. Like, where are the artists that represent the fly? And the thing is, I'm an old cat. I'm not talking about it should be like my era or no shit like that. Where are the young, fly artists that aren't on some gangbanging shit that could, start a vibe out here in LA. And look, nothing against gangbangers rapping or making money. Look, I love Nipsey. If you can do something good, great. In fact, you know what? You could be the most gangbang motherfucker. Can you rap? Can you make a good song? Yeah. I'm sure we all be down for like a new kind of like gangster rapper that could really rap dope, that made really good songs.
That's not strictly about your block. You're making, a lot of these rappers are making music for their block.
Right.
It's like songs I can play in your neighborhood because you're dissing the ops.
Right.
You're constantly bringing up where you're from. Everything's bragging.
No.
Blood this, blood that.
No. And I agree with you, but I also think like, we have these things where like these Bronx drill rappers make songs where they're talking about killing the next guy, and then you got like 800 white girls dancing to it on TikTok because the song is catchy enough. So I mean, like at the end of the day, yeah, that's limiting, that's lame, that's destructive. But even if you do that, I'm about music. I'm about songs. Like a good song, you could be 500 pounds. You could be this. If the song is banging enough, people are gonna want to play. Even no matter what it's about, people don't care about lyrics.
But it's the production that is new. Then that New York drill sound is newer than the same dusty stagnant sound we've been making for forever in the presentation. So
exactly.
I'm not saying that the world doesn't want to hear about gang culture. They're tired of hearing about it from LA rappers.
Exactly.
They're like, okay, you guys have been doing that since the late '80s. What else do you?
No,
have?
we need a fresh take on the production. I mean, and that's why shout out to Hit Boy and there's a lot of dope producers out here, but
I think there's a lot of dope beat makers out here. I don't think there's a lot of dope producers. There's a difference. But all right, one of my final questions for you before we play a game I got called West West.
Yeah.
Is will you be involved in, because you were a music supervisor for Snowfall, as you detailed through your relationship with John Singleton. Will you be involved in the spinoff?
I already am.
Really?
And not in a music capacity yet. Maybe in the future, but they hired me as a consultant for the writing room because it's about the music business in my heyday. So I've been reading their scripts and telling them, it wouldn't be really like that, or this is good, or it might not be like that. Or they asked me a bunch of questions, and I told them a bunch of stories about hanging out with Tupac and shit like that.
Congratulations. Well, when the premiere happens, I will be bugging you for tickets to the Snowfall premiere. But Snowfall spinoff premiere. But from what I'm hearing, doing my journalistic work, I'm hearing that it's Wanda who wants to start the record label, and Leon is kind of hesitant because he's doing his community work. Right. That's what I'm hearing.
I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about.
Okay,
so
we'll leave it at that.
I'm going to leave it alone. Yeah. I'm happy.
But that dynamic in itself is phenomenal.
Yeah, just that they start music and music
from
music
drug
business
money,
from that area. Yeah, I love it.
It's reality based.
Exactly.
So that's why I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
All right, we talked about pretty much everything. Real quick before we play West West, let's go over Paul Stewart's greatest Los Angeles rappers of all time.
Wait, hold on. Can I preface this by saying I'm a DJ. So I'm single beat driven type of person. I don't study MC in that way. And probably some people are definitely too low on the list. And some people I put low because I felt like they ruined their legacy, but maybe I went overboard.
Someone in the chat asked, what's your favorite, or who are your favorite Snowfall characters? Before we put up the list, who are your favorite Snowfall characters?
Oh, man. I mean, that's a good question.
Not Sissy.
No.
That's my least favorite.
I mean, that's hard. My man with the Jerry curl, I can't think of his name.
Uncle Jerome?
Yeah, Uncle Jerome.
Of course, everybody's favorite.
Classic. And then until my man went out, the lead,
I used to like Louie, but towards the end of the show, she got too pompous and controlling, and she kind of ruined it.
Right.
That was Aunt Louie, and I just hate Sissy. My favorite villain was Manboy.
Yeah.
Played by Melvin Gregg. That was my favorite villain.
I feel you on that, 100%.
All right, bet. So, this is Paul Stewart's, not mine, not Complex's. This is Paul Stewart's. How many is this? 100? 100 greatest LA rappers of all time.
Well, the lists were made. Who made the first list?
Complex via me.
And then Game put out a list.
The Game put out a list.
And I decided I'd make my own list.
And it is an interesting one. We don't have to run through every name, but
please,
top 10,
don't.
Kendrick Lamar, Snoop Dogg, Cube, Nipsey Hussle, way too high. Tyler, the Creator, also way too high. Vince Staples, way too high. Corrupt, Be Real from Cypress Hill, Draco the Ruler, like that placement, and 10 Sugar Free, 11 Quick. Das is way too high at 12. Das Dillinger over the Game. What led to this decision?
I was pissed off at the game because I feel like he's ruined his legacy.
But
He be irritating me, man. The things that he does, just like, you know.
So his social media antics dropped him on the list.
Yeah, and I mean, also, too, what about that red rose, white? I mean, come on, man. How many times can you say red rose, white ceiling in your freestyles? That's something's a little off.
All right, Gabe's going to be dissing you next. Schoolboy Q, he should be up there, but 14 might be a bit high, but he should be in the teens.
He's dope.
MC Ren.
Okay.
That might be high for Ren. King T, one of my favorites.
Love King T.
Love that.
Underrated.
Hella underrated.
Yeah.
Was signed to Ruthless, Aftermath, and Death Row.
Classic.
Absol high, but on a lyricist list, absolutely. But I just don't feel like the records are there. Razzcast, phenomenal MC.
Right.
Warren G.
Introduced me to the Pharcyde too.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, I got to put my personal people up there high.
Warren G kind of low.
Okay, I should have put him higher.
Yeah,
Well,
because
like
he had a better classic debut album than some of these other names.
That's true. I mean, like I said, we looked at him as more of a producer. You know what I mean? So, but, you know, look,
YG.
obviously I love Warren, and he's got classics.
I'm not mad at YG at 20.
Okay.
I'm not mad. 8, even though 8 isn't spelled like this, is no G. But MC8, that might.
He's high?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah, because his flow is impeccable, but lyricism, I don't know.
Yeah, and then he's like on like a Kendrick song or something, like more recently.
Yeah, he's
right?
he's on Good Kid, Mad City.
Right. I'm saying, you know, and he was impactful in my era.
Yeah, Compton Most Wanted, Blue Tape, of course.
Right.
J Rock's kind of high. Mac 10 is cool. Mac 10 is cool there. I love his debut album. You said what?
I managed him at one point.
You managed Mac 10? Why did you bring that up when I asked about the management?
Well, it was later. It was when I worked at Virgin.
Oh, in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it wasn't really in anybody's heyday. It wasn't his heyday or anything.
Oh, I feel like he's underrated as a businessman because he did a lot of, he did films and he had
I helped him
records.
hook up that thing with Fat Joe.
You was part of Blood is Thicker Than Water?
Yeah, I didn't get
That's
my
one of my
credit,
favorite
though.
movies.
Yeah, I got jerked on that one.
They played you out of the credits on Blood is Thicker Than Water?
Oh, man.
Go watch that on YouTube right now. It's one of the greatest hood flicks of all time.
Mac, I want you to start giving me props in interviews, man. Come on, do something. Make up for it.
That's because, yeah, he's a big concert promoter now.
Oh, is he? I fuck with Mac, man. His business sense is impeccable. And I always seemed like a stand-up guy. I never had no problems with him.
Earl Sweatshirt, lyrically, yes. Records, no. Exhibit.
I agree.
Exhibit over Pharcyde. Cool. Then Pharcyde Freestyle Fellowship paired up. That's cool. Easy E is super, 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 super low.
Yeah, because
Impact and Flow.
Okay.
Flow changed hip hop.
Impact, but his flow wasn't his flow. He didn't write none of it.
He
was doing one word at a time. You know.
His delivery, when I mean flow, his delivery, that voice itself is iconic. Might be one of the greatest. So we're going to talk about
I spelled his name wrong,
voices.
too.
Yes, you did.
Pharcyde should have been higher.
Oh, man.
Pharcyde should have definitely been higher. I was smoking. Yo.
Oh, no, you were smoking. You were smoking with some of these names.
I fuck with Buddy, man, though. I really like Buddy.
I fuck with Buddy out of Compton too, but he should not be on this list. Baby Keem should not be on the 100 greatest all
Why
time.
shouldn't Baby Keem be on the list? You got him on the new report card?
He shouldn't be on the 100 greatest LA rappers of all time.
Okay, but I mean, who did I miss out on? Because I mean, I put Disco Daddy and Captain. I mean, I went back.
You got Yo-Yo over Rage. Okay, I'm not mad at that. You got
Her
Ray
body
Bond
of work was bigger. You know, she had more
Make Way for
just-
the Mother Load over Necessary Roughness. Okay, that makes sense. That adds up.
Cam is nice.
I don't think Crooked Eyes feel like that. You was just getting names. I got you.
Yeah, fuck the order. Fuck the order.
G Perico at 51.
That's my homie.
Shout out to G Perico over AZ Chike. That's an interesting pick. Dub C. So you telling me AZ Chike is a better rapper than Dub C? Come on, man.
Look.
You got Doja Cat twice.
Okay.
You were smoking.
That's how much I'm honored. Yo, wait, hold on. Dub is my homie. Don't make me do this. But the thing is, like, AZ Chike is hot and having a lot of, like, moment right now.
Yeah.
Whereas Dub was always kind of a background dude, more or less. He never really had his, like, shine moment. I guess West Side Connection was big, but it was still, he was part of that group.
Part
or
of a
whatever.
group.
Yeah. But no, I feel you.
J Stone should not be on this list. J Stone should definitely not. You talking about All Money in J Stone? Nipsey's homie? No. AD. Oh my! And RJ's criminally low. Now on the complex list, they didn't have him on there at all, and I fought, and I have emails to prove. I was like, "There's no way we could put out this list without RJ." And so the editor of Complex was telling me, "Well, none of us here at the office have ever heard of him." I'm like, "Well, you contracted me because you want to go off of my knowledge."
At least I had him on the list.
Yeah, you got RJ on the list.
No, I mean, I feel you. I mean, like
that's criminally low.
I only know a couple of his songs, but
OT Genesis is better than RJ. Is crazy.
I only know a couple of his songs, and OT's song was so big. Like I said, I was just putting up names. The order, come on, man, you can't. Well,
preface it with that. Preface it with don't pay attention to the order.
Don't pay attention
just
to
look
the
at
order.
the names.
Just look at the names.
No, you got the right names. Just the order.
That's what I'm
Toddy
saying.
T, Too Low, Batter Ram. Come on now. Him and Mixmaster Spades basically kicked off this LA rap shit.
Oh, classic. But you know they didn't have a lot of records.
That's true. Doty 6. You got Doty 6.
This is right when Kendrick's album came out. So
Zoe Sama.
He had a hit 6 years ago.
Underrated.
That shit was a big hit.
Yeah, I'm glad you said 6 years ago.
No, it's crazy. I was looking at his page today, and yeah, his big hit was from like 6 years ago. I noticed.
Yeah, like 5 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at Rimble closing out the list. I'd have closed out with Rimble at 100.
Okay.
The fact that you got Hitter J3 on here, I'm closing this, man. He got Hitter J3 on the 100 greatest LA rappers list, man. Paul Stewart, don't you make no more
lists.
LA rapper list.
Hey, well, you know what? At least that's like a gangster cat, right? So like, I'm trying to be cool with the streets. So like, maybe I'm trying to put my bid in. You know what about it when I'm running around? No, but the dudes that were on Kendrick's album were all really relevant at that time. So I was bigging up the cast that were on Kendrick's album and hoping that they was going to take that opportunity and do more than they did with it.
Oh, I'm glad you spoke to that. So you feel like the artists featured on GNX, the LA rappers featured on GNX, didn't do enough with that platform and opportunity?
Well, except for maybe AZ.
Chike? Mm-hmm. And he still hasn't followed it up with a bona fide hit.
But he got a deal and he's putting out music and it sounds good. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I think he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. I mean, man, Doty 6, what he threatened or talked shit about Kendrick. I mean, wow, you know. I mean, awesome. And Lefty Gunplay's kind of doing this thing. In fact, Lefty should be on
Grammy.
here.
He's a Grammy winner.
Lefty should be on this.
Lefty should be on the list at 101. All right, let's pull up. Dang, West, I wonder if they're gonna. Oh yeah, let's do West. So basically, I'm gonna give you two options. This isn't Drink Champ, so you can't say both. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
Ice Cube or Snoop Dogg.
Snoop.
E40 or Too Short.
E40.
Dr. Dre or DJ Quick.
Dr. Dre.
Warren G or Corrupt.
Corrupt.
MC8, he's going to be mad at you. MC8 or King T?
As a producer, Warren G. Oh, wait. MC8 or who?
King T.
King T.
Eazy-E or Ice-T?
Ice-T.
I know the answer to this one. Yo-Yo or Lady of Rage?
Yo-Yo.
The East Side is a West Side connection.
West Side Connection.
The Game or Kendrick Lamar?
K-Dot.
YG or Tyga?
YG all day. That's not even close.
I agree. RJ or Joe Moses?
RJ, I guess. Yeah.
But you had Joe Moses higher on your list.
See, I don't know.
Dom Kennedy or Tyler, the Creator?
Oh, Tyler. I mean, I love Tyler. No diss to Dom, but you said I had Tyler too high. I almost feel like it's too low. I think Tyler's incredible. So, yeah.
Oh, he's a genius.
Big Tyler
Absolutely.
fan. Yeah.
Draco the Ruler or Nipsey Hussle? God bless the dead.
Oh, wow. Nah.
Gotta pick. Whose music do you like better? Draco or
I
Nipsey?
like Nipsey's better, but you
Same.
know, yeah,
I like Nipsey's music
okay,
better than Draco.
I didn't really want to answer that though, man.
Oh, no, that's nothing wrong
I
with
mean,
saying you like.
just the
That's
impact.
like I said, Pac or
The impact
Biggie.
of Draco's just so huge, you know. So.
Oh yeah, Draco was
All these new rappers sound like they're imitating Draco. Half of them, you know.
from LA, from the West Coast, yeah. But then
Yeah.
Nipsey also influenced a lot of people business wise and mentally.
Yeah,
and stuff like
exactly.
that. So they both have influence in their own way.
Yeah.
The Chronic or Doggy Style?
Ooh. style.
America's Most Wanted or Death Certificate?
Can I look at the track list?
I can't pull them up for you. I know America's Most Wanted, Who's the Mac, Once Upon a Time in the Projects.
Yeah, that one.
America's Most Wanted?
Yeah,
okay, cool. Cause then Death Certificate is like My Summer Vacation.
Yeah.
My Crazy Life or Good Kid, Mad City?
Good Kid, Mad City. Boys
in the Hood or Menace to Society?
Menace.
John is up there shaking his head.
R.I.P. John.
John is up there shaking his head.
I mean, that was just more my taste. Like, Boys was a better made movie. Like, Boys got nominated for Best Director. You know what I mean? Menace didn't get directed for no Best Director. But, you know, Menace was more the kind of movie that I was into, you know.
All right, Friday or next Friday?
Friday. No compare.
Friday after next or The Wash?
DJ Pooh, my G, Friday after next.
DJ Pooh isn't in Friday after next. You mean The Wash?
No, The Wash was his movie, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to Wash, though.
Yeah.
All right, Bet. That was West West. That's how West West goes. Really quick, you were listed on Complex, and I didn't know about this until I did my research for you. You were listed on Complex's greatest hip-hop A&Rs of all time list. I'm going to pull that up on the screen. In the interim, can you tell me your definition of an A&R and what makes a great A&R from your perspective?
Finding great talent and nurturing them and giving them the opportunity to make their art, you know, and, you know, possibly being involved in critiquing it, but that wasn't really my style. Mostly I just found people that were great. My imprint wasn't really, I wasn't telling people, oh, sample this record or, you know, or I wasn't in the studio trying to tell people what to do. I'm not a producer. I'm not a rapper.
So for you, it was more so about the signing part, which in this article they listed that most of these people on this list are known for signing talent, not necessarily curating their music.
Yeah, for me, it was about recognizing what's really dope, but then also like creating the environment and atmosphere. I mean, like one thing I did for Pharcyde that was really dope was I hooked them up with the dude who did their album cover, their first album cover. You know what I mean? Okay. So, you know, definitely like maybe, you know, bringing in dope producers or something. Like with Montell Jordan, I had Wino come in and fix that. This is how we do it before it went out because the bottom wasn't heavy enough. You know what I mean? So, which they were really mad at me for at the time, but that's the version that blew up, you know? So, you know, this can be very thankless to be telling people what to do. But, you know, helping pick what singles and stuff. You know, these were just what I was more involved in. I see people be really involved in A&R and more crafting things and stuff, and that's cool if you're doing a good job doing it, you know? And some artists don't need that and don't want that, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Some artists don't need it necessarily. Yeah. Okay, where did that list go?
The great ones don't. Oh, who the other A&Rs were?
Yeah, no, I had it pulled up, but hold on. Something. Here we go. Move this. Interact. We got Complex, greatest, and hip hop A&Rs. Okay, here we go. So we're just gonna run down some of these names. You might know some of these people, you might not. So this list is made by Corey Robbins, who wrote one of the greatest books ever, The Big Payback, The History of the Business of Hip Hop. I remember reading that when I was a child, making me want to be in this business. So he said, for rankings, basically, we've selected folks based on the balance of above-mentioned skills and ranked them according to the quantity of successful artists they've signed, the quality of the signings, and the longevity of their roster. Some people, honorable mentions that could have actually been on this, in my opinion, were Sha Money from G Unit, Lenny S from Rockefeller, Wendy Day, who's notorious for going over the Cash Money deal, Brian Leach from TBT, and Steve Rifkind from Lyor Records. So at 25, we got Stu Fine, who discovered Gangstar and Lord Finesse.
And also
Main Source,
which had Nas's first appearance, too.
Okay. Oh, Live at the Barbecue?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Stu Fine.
Large Professor, yeah.
Faith Newman, who signed Nas to Coolio Records. I
She's
do know her for
gangster.
that.
Yeah.
That's an iconic story, iconic A&R. She used to work at Def Jam, left them for their parent company, Columbia, at the time.
A-Trum, he signed Digital Underground.
Okay, A-Tron signed Digital Underground. Okay, that's how we get Pac.
Yeah.
And through Tommy Boy, Matty C, my
Matty
boy,
C,
Matty
love
C.
He discovered Biggie.
Yeah, discovered Biggie through the Unsigned Hype column.
And Mobb Deep, maybe?
Mobb Deep, Wu-Tang Clan, Dead President, who was credited with, because it was an A&R Loud Records
Exactly,
as well.
right. He A&R'd Mobb Deep. Right.
Okay,
right,
cool,
right.
cool. No, Eminem through the Unsigned Hype, too.
Yeah,
He's the first person to write about Eminem.
Crazy.
Where else we had? That was Matty C. Will Sokolov, you heard of him?
Yeah.
EPMD.
Okay.
Nice and Smooth. Freeze Records. They put out Reasonable Doubt through them.
But then they like canceled the deal or something like that.
Okay, through Sleepy Bag and stuff. Okay, got you. Paul Stewart at 20. Warren G, House of Pain, Coolio, and the Pharcyde. Those are the artists you're credited with. Are you happy with those credits? Or did you leave any names out?
Those are the big ones. I mean, I also helped Domino get a deal. Like I said, Delinquent Habits came later, but those are the biggest ones, yeah.
Okay, Ben, we're going to read your blurb. It says, Paul Stewart is an unsung hero of LA hip-hop. Salute just off that alone. That's facts. A white kid who grew up in the middle-class black neighborhood of Baldwin Hills during a time when other white families were fleeing South Central LA. Stewart became a huge fan of soul, funk, and hip-hop. After college, he returned to LA as a DJ, record promoter, and correspondent for The Source. Ultimately, Stewart fell into artist management. Too much good music passed through his hands to do otherwise. Stewart was uniquely positioned between the trendy parties in Hollywood and the artists in the hood. He became an invaluable resource for almost every label in the business. Stewart shepherded the Pharcyde to Delicious Vinyl. He shopped House of Pain and Coolio to Tommy Boy. He championed Warren G when Dr. Dre and Suge Knight refused to do so, and instead delivers Warren's demo tape to Chris Lighty and Lyor Cohen, ultimately jeopardizing Stewart's job as head of John Singleton's label New Deal Records.
That's right.
Where he signed Mr. Grimm's and Del Smoke.
Oh yeah, that.
Cohen returned the favor by installing Stewart as the head of Def Jam West, where Stewart signed Montell Jordan. It's ironic then when Stewart finally launched his own label through Loud that his long and impressive run came to a halt. Stewart later moved into music supervision and brand consulting. I feel like you being a music supervisor on Snowfall that late into your career is just it's a knock on your belt regardless.
Thank you. Yeah, I got 80 film and TV credits, so yeah, I've been doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, and Insecure too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how you met.
That's how I met Evan.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Dante Ross at 19, hella low. Criminally low.
Yeah, that guy's...
Look at this list. De La Soul, P-Rock and CL Smooth, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, Third Base, Brand Nubian, Busta Rhymes, Oh Dirty Bastard, Asher Bros. This is criminally low. Way too low. At 19, Chris Schwartz, Joe Nicolo,
Rough
The
House.
Fugees, Rough House, okay, Cypress, Tim Dog.
Yeah.
Tim Dog, he said, fuck Compton. Yeah. Sylvia Robinson.
But he signed the Fugees too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So he had the Fugees and Cypress Hill. That's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah, definitely deserve to be on the list. Sylvia Robinson, Sugar Hill Records.
Okay. Sugar Hill Gang. And,
yeah.
and all
Sequence.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Treacherous 3. Funky 4+1.
I mean, she put out the first hip hop record, so she's
the first hip hop.
They say she
local.
was
great
robbing,
mother.
Say she was robbing people, but
that's exactly what this blurb said.
Yeah,
I didn't know that till today when I read this. That apparently she didn't pay anybody.
No, she has a really bad reputation.
Damn, I did not know that. Irv Gotti.
Okay.
For Ja Rule, Ashanti, DMX, and Jay-Z. DMX and Jay-Z specifically as A&R. Ja Rule and Ashanti was like his actual artist. Chris Lighty, rest in peace. My favorite manager in the history of hip-hop.
He was such a great dude, too.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he, this is a guy that's like New York. He's from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Violators, Fat Joe, all the shit Tribe, everything he was 50 later, everything he was known was super New York. But he wanted to sign Warren G because he understood that. And we weren't even thinking about signing Warren G. He was the one.
That was like, we got to sign Warren to Def Jam.
We weren't even thinking of him, neither me or John were even thinking of Warren as a rapper. We were imagining him as a producer.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me.
Yeah. So it's all credit for Warren, man.
And I know it did. How about I know the list didn't disappear. All right. Rest in peace, Chris Lighty, Violator Management, Foxy Brown, Missy Elliott. At one point, he was managing fucking Mariah Carey.
Yeah, he was.
Juice Crew, Mr. Magic, Molly Mall, and Tyrone Williams. I like them.
Okay.
Tyrone Williams, co-founder of Cold Chillin' Records, one of the greatest hip hop labels of all time.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
come on, Biz Markie, Big Daddy Kane. I mean,
Roxanne,
yeah.
So also Eric B. and Rakim, Lords of Underground, and Nas, who came up through the Queensbridge connection.
Sure.
So, and then Mr. Magic, he obviously had, what station was he on?
BLS.
BLS, okay. I guess which was a big thing in New York. I don't
huge.
know. Okay, cool. So then he could like sign artists, but then break them by playing them.
Yeah, there was only a couple stations that played hip hop. They didn't even
Him
play
and Cool Riddler.
Exactly. They didn't even play hip hop. It was just shows. It wasn't like no 24-hour station or anything. So it was hugely powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely cool. DJ Riddler.
Oh yeah, come on, Tribe Called Quest,
Queen Latifah,
De La
Jungle
Soul,
Brothers,
Queen
yeah.
Latifah,
Native Tongues, Black Sheep.
Yeah.
Facts. Another legend, icon in this business. And
Great guy. Great.
He used to have a morning show with Wendy Williams. Dame Dash, your favorite.
Yeah.
Obviously, no need to explain all of his contributions. Andre Rell, one of my favorite hip hop executives. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. Why does this keep popping up? What am I doing to weird?
But yeah, Andre Harrell's legendary. Mary J. Blige,
Jodeci, Heavy D and the Boys, I'll Be Sure Guy.
Yeah.
The whole blending of R&B and hip hop.
Yeah, that was his thing. Yeah. He was the smooth guy.
And his work at Rush Management as well. Was Rush Management still a thing in the 90s? That's just some 80s shit.
Yeah, that's where Chris Lighty was working when he called me for.
Okay.
That was with Rush Management. Yeah.
All right, Corey Robbins and what, a profile?
Yeah, that's like Run DMC, DJ Quick.
Yep. Okay, they're depicted in Crush Groove when the label signs Run DMC. RZA with Wu-Tang Clan, that's not too bad.
Genius.
Birdman and Lil Wayne.
I mean, can't argue. The numbers speak for themselves.
They do. The numbers do speak for themselves. Tom Silverman and Monica Lynch, Tommy Boy Records.
Yeah, I helped them.
Ben Bada, De La Soul, Queen Latifah, Stetson Sonic, and Naughty by Nature.
Yep.
Shout out to Daddy O from Stetson Sonic. Jimmy Iovine. How you feel about him being on this list?
I don't think he deserves to be.
It's like by proxy.
Yeah, I mean, props to him for like hiring people and letting them do their thing. Like seeing Dre was a thing, so giving them, but I don't, that's like you got a big checkbook and you can write checks. That makes you an A&R. I don't know. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have any of that.
That's
so you know what I mean? If we're both on the same list, it's like, what kind of list is this? But God, no disrespect to Jimmy. I mean, he did shit a lot of people wouldn't do. I remember when I was at that studio when I met Warren G. He came by one day and he was so unassuming. I thought he was a messenger.
Damn, that's how plainly he was dressed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how guys with real money act.
Exactly.
L.A. Reid on a hip hop A&R list.
Yeah. Well,
Outkast, he got lucky with that.
Yeah,
they literally fell in his lap balls.
Yeah.
Goody Mob, Rick Ross, Young Jeezy, but this was during Jay-Z's tenure at Def Jam as president. He was just chairman.
Yeah, like you say,
label head. They putting label heads on it. Do a label head list.
Yeah,
that's not A&R. Is the guy who goes out and get them. Or the person.
Rick
Rubin
definitely deserves to be.
Discovering LL Cool J.
Oh, Public Enemy, LL Cool J, Slick Rick, all the early Def Jam stuff.
Absolutely. And then I wonder why. Do you have any insight on why Kim and Russell couldn't make it work, or was Lyor like a driving force in him splitting? Lyor was a problem. Was it intentional? You think? Do you think Lyor intentionally got Rick out the paint?
Boy here. Yeah, kind of, but so to speak. I don't know. I mean, they're just so different. I mean, they're like night and day. So.
And if this happens again, I'm gonna get upset. Why does this pop up?
I don't know.
Keep happening.
The other one, huh?
Hold on. It's almost done with the election,
Yeah,
guys.
we're so close to
it's like, there we go. Diddy.
Okay.
Obviously signing big at Uptown. I was at Uptown and signing Mace, that's his own artist.
Yeah.
The Shine Locks of those, but being an A&R, and I think he was more A&R in the other sense because he didn't sign Mary J. Blige to Uptown.
But he helped make the records and stuff. Yeah,
Jodeci.
I mean, his influence in that era when he was cracking was so undeniable. I mean,
you gotta put him.
I can't hate. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Dre at 2.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? Does he fall in the A&R category? Like, how is he A&R and NWA? Like, what are you talking about? Like, maybe sequencing the album or something, I guess. But
well, I think Warren deserves that spot because Warren brought Snoop, Corrupt, Daz, other people that I'm blanking on. So, like, I think Warren should get that place instead of Dre.
Yeah, and then we disagree vehemently.
Barry Weiss. Yeah, come on, man.
Because they putting down Too Short, Schoolie D, who's credited for inventing hip hop PSK.
Boogie Down Productions.
I mean, inventing gangster rap, not hip hop. Houdini, A Tribe Called Quest, Boogie Down Productions, E40. But it's like he was just signing the checks. He wasn't discovering his talent.
Not at all.
Who would you put? Was anybody left off? Any great A&Rs that you feel like should have been on this list?
Nothing jumps out at me.
Okay, so they pretty much got the names right. Just
the order alone. Yeah.
Got you.
Like my list.
Like your list.
Like my top 100.
All right, so real quick, obviously everyone knows what happened with the Pooh Shiesty situation. Pooh Shiesty got arrested last week for allegedly kidnapping and holding Gucci Mane against his will, asked to have him sign a contract, a release of contract, which wouldn't hold up in court anyway because he signed it under duress. Right. So that was stupid. But there's this clip that I came across on the internet. I wanted your opinion on it.
Okay.
And it should be in my DMs. Here we go. Pooh Shiesty pulling up on Gucci.
You gonna sign these, releasing Dre and DOC from Ruthless.
Whatever, homie. Think I'm signing that? You crazier than I thought you was. I'm out. Get your ass up.
Nah, I think you're gonna stay here for a while.
Fuck you, Suge. Y'all niggas don't scare me.
You can talk tough all you want, but this ain't no record. Don't make me change you, Eric.
Fuck's that supposed to mean? Keep talking. You gonna fuck around and get smoked.
Nah. But you better choose right. You know where the fuck I'm from? It's Bompton, nigga.
So, to your knowledge, was this how Dr. Dre and Michelet got released from Ruthless Records?
Now, some people say,
or just folklore.
Some people say it was, but a lot of people say no.
Okay.
I know Easy. He was thorough. So I mean, I can imagine they could have caught him off guard at the wrong time and this and that. And I think maybe something like that kind of happened. I don't know if they punked him so much as it's being, made.
Depicted.
Yeah, but maybe it was a situation where like they were gonna do that, so he just signed it, and then I think they were disputing it, and then he died or whatever.
Right, but technically, because he even bragged about it, he was like Dre Day equals
he was making money.
So he was taking it.
He was definitely making money off of the Dre stuff. That's a known fact.
I think the whole correlation is the fact that you're forcing me to sign a release that doesn't hold up in court. It's not notarized or anything. Like, who's the witnesses to this forced release signature? And then you can always just sign some bullshit. You don't know what my real signature is like. So I could sign and be like, well, I never signed that. Right?
Yeah, I mean...
Because I don't sign like that. You can just sign your signature in a way you know you would never sign it.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah. It wasn't bright. It was unlikely to have the outcome that he wanted. You know what I mean? And is unlikely to have the outcome that he wanted. And it's sad, because dude had a lot of potential. People was really feeling his first day out. So here you get out, your first record is popping. Yeah. We have very few young artists that are popping, and then you throw your life away.
Over a contractual dispute that you guys could have negotiated.
Exactly.
Let's see. Did you see Wireless Festival losing its sponsors over Kanye? I think I had that queued up.
I did.
Somewhere I had it queued up.
Yeah, well.
Here we go. So PayPal will not feature on any branding for Wireless Festival. I believe that some of the Diego, however you say that liquor company, their brands, right. Budweiser, and whatever liquor brands they have are also pulling out.
Right.
All the sponsors are pulling out of the Wireless Fest because of Kanye performing on those 3 dates. What's your take on this?
They don't like when they talk about those people, man. They don't like that stuff.
No, Semitic.
Yeah, and he just went so far. I mean, I think, it's like, it's crazy because there's obviously a big demand for him. He obviously wants to do it, and they're just like, nah. So I don't know, man. I mean, I feel bad for dude, but he made his own.
He put himself in that situation.
He got laid it. He made the best, so it is what it is. I can't. lose any sleep over it? Is it conspiratorial type stuff? Yeah, quite
Absolutely.
possibly, absolutely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as Razzcast.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, it'd be one thing. Like I could be all up in arms if he was like, just kind of like, talking about truthful things like, the genocide or in Gaza or something like that. But
he made a Hitler record.
Yeah, come on, man. I can't support nothing to do with Zon.
I agree. I don't believe it in hate speech, and I definitely don't agree in making records praising Hitler. Right. Like that's not needed from anybody from any race. That's just ignorant. So, but I mean, his concert at the SoFi Stadium just became one of the highest selling concerts in the history of hip hop.
So I'm saying the demand is strong.
So, I feel like it's still going to sell out, but Wireless is just going to lose that upfront money they were going to get from sponsors.
Right.
But this late in the game, Wireless, it's not like Wireless can't put on a show without funding from sponsors.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like your money was gratuitous anyway. Like we were just going to pad our pockets with your money. So. Yeah. The last thing I want to say about this is I saw this tweet pertinent to it. I have it queued up here. Some young lady tweeted, companies never pull their sponsorship for music about the murder of black people.
Right.
So he made a song about praising Hitler, and that got him blackballed and sponsors pulling stuff.
Sure.
But you can make music about killing N-words all day long.
Sure.
And disrespecting black women, calling them bitches and hoes all day long, and you're not going to lose not one sponsor.
Right.
That's weird.
Agreed.
That's weird. So yeah, that's a good point. That's a real good point. All right, what's next? Let's fly through these last topics. Cocaine calls out Snoop Dogg over royalties. So Cocaine, one of the he's credited being one of the earliest G-Funk artists.
Yeah,
that's fair, right? He went on the Hater World podcast. Shout out to Hater World. I've been there before, and he spoke up on Snoop Dogg somehow, some way, owing him some royalties, and he said he's ducking them. Let's check it out.
Once I get to rebounding and get back up, then I'm going to go back to the doors and start spanking people's ass because you owe me. Yeah, Daz is doing that right now, and our stuff is kind of equally yoked to each other. But at the same time, I mean, I'm going hard. And it's not like I don't like Snoop, because I love our chemistry is one of the coldest ever.
Crazy. Yeah.
But right now, he's at the point where he's trying to reverse psychology. Don't count my pockets. I never count no nigga pockets. I made my own without even thinking about going back. I'm going back to clean that up. I don't count people to pockets, but I want you to dig in your pockets and give me mines.
What made you go public with it, though?
Well, somebody asked me. I'm in Germany drinking some Jaegers, handling my business, doing my thing out there. Mm-hmm. And then my guy, shout out to Big Steel, we had an interview. And it was just basically asking me about Daz, what do you think? And I said he has some validity what he was saying, because I don't know what it's like to get a royalty check. That shit went viral.
All right, what's your take on Cocaine saying that Snoop Dogg owes him royalties of some sort? And he said he never got a royalty check.
Mm-hmm. Certainly possible. Like, I don't really want to speculate, because often, and I'm not necessarily speaking about Cocaine, but artists don't really understand the business, and they lie, and they just say things, like, oh, well, this was a check you got, but I don't consider it a royalty or whatever, you know what I mean? Or you never recouped your advance or whatever. Okay. I mean, there's just a lot of things, you know what I mean? That factors. It could be, and people's memories aren't always great, and they don't understand the business sometimes. Like I said, I'm not necessarily saying this is what cocaine is, but yeah, I don't put a lot of precedent in that. I mean, look, if more people start coming up and saying Snoop ain't paying him or something, maybe there's something to it. But I mean, the company's been around for so long, and he just got it. Like, what do you really think you're owed at this point?
Well, no, if you acquire a company, don't you acquire its pre-existing debts?
Well,
it's not just a clean slate because it got a new owner.
Well, that's true. But I'm saying. Yeah, no, that's right, but they don't even own a lot of that music. Like, the Death Row only has, they don't have certain any of the good stuff, you know what I mean? That's all gone, you know what I mean? So how much stuff are we really talking about? If anybody has a case, it's probably Daz.
Daz should have a case, because he was producing as well.
The rapper I put so high on the list.
What Cocaine output was through Death Row exclusively?
See, I don't know anything.
See, I have to Google it. I'm gonna do a little
Dejon,
homework.
I gotta use the restroom.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
I'll talk to the chat for a bit.
Okay, cool.
All right, you guys. What's going on in the chat? Palm trees in the chat. Shout out to Smartino, newest mod. Big ups on doing this and keeping hip hop alive. Salute to you. Drinking Jaeger is doing my business. Yeah, that is interesting. I like it. It's like he was flexing on us that he was in Germany drinking Jaeger. Dame Dash is so misunderstood. Recipes Fly Tie. Recipes Biz Marquee. Okay, y'all know some hip hop. Nip is better for show, but Draco was a beast. Facts. I saw somebody talking about the Eazy-E question. Russell only brought Slick Rick to the label, but Rick co-produced Cool J first album and single. That's facts. Allegedly, they call him Eazy-E tripping. Dre tricked him. Oh, Dre, he showed up solo. They held him until he signed. Somebody seen him right before it happened, tried to warn him. Dads and Corrupt was there, but they didn't participate. Those aftermarket finance companies should have no say-so in music. Only Dads has a case. Yeah, we talked about Offset getting shot. Prayers and thoughts. We talked about that briefly. All right, bet. Okay, cool. We can do an outro.
Okay.
All right, bet. So, Paul, what are you working on next before you get out of here?
Oh man, I'm working on a really exciting video game. I can't talk about it too much, but it's a fight game, kind of in the space of the Def Jam Vendetta fight game. So we're working with some big names that we've signed up to be in the game already. So I'm really excited about that, and just working on a few music supervision projects and doing a lot of consulting to independent artists, and starting to work with my man's at Raj Will. He was teaching at Dominguez High in Compton, and I went down there, was working with him and the students, and me and him are starting to teach like some music supervision classes together. He's teaching at SOLA in South Central and at a school in Simi Valley. And so just getting involved in education, helping out the youth, you know what I mean, trying to give back to the community. You can find me in Lamar Park, giving diatribes on how to make money from the music business and that kind of thing. You can hire me if you want me to consult you on how to get your music placed in film and TV. And I'm just, enjoying life and trying to stay healthy as an OG.
All right, bet, Paul. Well, thank you for pulling up. This has been one of the best episodes of Damn Lane yet. We talked about hip-hop for 2.5 hours.
Man.
Got to it, went through your story. Shouts out to you, shouts out to the artists you broke, all the records you broke, and continue to do your thing.
Oh, man, thanks for all the flowers, man. I appreciate you having me, man.
Yes, sir. The list was crazy, but other than that, great.
Ignore the order.
All right, y'all.
Okay.
Peace.